Hello and welcome to this, the third annual Iron Dinos Year in Review. I'm here with Adam.
Yo!
I'm here with Jason.
Yo, yo.
And we have many a category to tell you what our favourite of various things were for the year, that are things that are various that we liked the most. There's going to be a lot of chat, there's going to be a lot of banter, but without any further ado, Jason!
Oh, hello.
What was your favourite game of the year?
Oh, we're cracking on with that, are we? Okay.
Oh, we're going in with a bang, baby.
Game of the year. Right, I will fully understand if no one in the world likes this game. Absolutely fine. I am choosing the game Lake. Picture, if you will, a modern remake of Postman Pat made by the Hallmark Channel. Lake is a third-person free-roam game set in a small Oregon town in 1986. You play Meredith. She's a computer programmer and she takes a 2-week break from a busy city job to cover her father's mailman duties during, they're from Florida, and she goes back to her quiet hometown. She reconnects with old friends, makes new ones, makes love interests, and reconsiders what she really wants to do with her life. Have you heard of it, by the way, these guys?
I've never heard of that, and that sounds really cool.
I will tell you. It's a very simple game. It's got casual gamer written all over it. I can imagine if you want to
I thought he was just going to repeat the whole thing he just said again.
I was hoping you would.
It's very simple. Basically, each day you've got a bunch of icons appears on the town map. You're a mail carrier, whatever you call them. This is 1986. It's set in. You're generally a computer programmer, but you've taken a break from that. I know I'm repeating what I just said. And then you basically do the mail route. You've a bunch of icons on a map. You can go in any order you want. It's basically a town that surrounds a big lake, obviously. It's quite sort of cartoony, but nice, beautiful graphics. A little bit patchy, but it's a nice. It's just nice. It's just nice. That's most games. Just basically nice. That's what I want to say to it. It's gentle. It's nice. It's calm. It's relaxing. So, first of all, you've got to deliver your parcels to all these different icons, and as you go around, you interact with the people through dialogue options, and you sort of build up relationships, and you get some small like fetch quests now and again. But most of it's just about learning about the people, interacting with them, building friends or enemies. I didn't really do the enemies side of it because I'm quite a nice guy. Building relationships, and it's no stress. So there's no time limit at all on this route. I actually had a dream where I thought I'd gone up to a more advanced level, and there was a time limit. It was really stressing me out. And then I realised the next day, oh no, it's not actually in the game. That's just the So the game is basically drive around gently, nice countryside, delivering letters and parcels, and occasionally bumping into people chatting, and then carrying out tasks like taking someone's cat to see a vet or something, and a bit meeting up with your old school friend, that sort of thing, going on dates, that sort of thing. It's a very nice, calm game. It's not the greatestly made game in the world. There are definitely issues with like pop-in issues, things like that. There's sudden breaks in some of the scenes occasionally, but not enough to really break the whole thing of it. But yeah, it's a very gentle game.
So how did you come across this game? What is it on PC, Xbox?
It's on Game Pass at the moment.
Okay.
I saw it mentioned briefly in one of might have been the Xbox shows a few months ago. They were talking about it, like it might have been a little advert for it or something. And I thought, I'm interested in that. I'll have a look at that. And then it popped up on the pass, and I thought, I'll have a look at that. And pretty much played it through in 2 evenings. Thought about it and dreamt about it during the night. Some of the little things really just hooks me in. Like, I got excited when so there's this girl I'm trying to hook up with at some point, and I got a letter from her, and I was like, and I had a proper real life reaction to it, like this is really occurring. Yeah, so it's not perfect. There's a big issue with the camera. There's a very small bit I think it's slightly an unfinished game. I think they probably had bigger plans for it, but I think it's a cohesive whole, and it looks like they sort of settled on it, but I reckon it could have done with like a couple of months more polish, and they might have wanted to add some more features in. But generally speaking, it works. It's very calm. If I'd made this is how I judge things. If I'd made it myself, would I be proud? And I would be proud of myself if I'd made this.
You with absolutely no training in computer programming,
exactly,
or in any way making a game.
Because I have sorry, I'm going a bit long here, but I have a bit of a fascination with sort of small town America, particularly in the past. I don't know why I've always had that, but I always have. And when you usually play it in games, it's usually
Specifically 1956.
No, and if you're talking, I think you're talking about it's 55. But
Fuck! So close.
Back to the Future is 55. No, but always, lots of things like Erie, Indiana. Actually, most of the things you do come across.
I used to love that show.
Most small town shows and films, it is things like Erie, Indiana, Twilight Zone. What else? There's the game Deadly Premonition. They usually it's always some
American
sort of
Gothic.
There's some undercurrent of something going on. And for the first maybe hour or two of this game, I did keep thinking maybe something will happen. But nothing. But it's not. It is just about everyday life and just living it and enjoying it and working out. Basically, does she want to go back to a stressful city job? Does she want to stay in the town? Does she want to go off on the open road? What does she want to do? What does she want from life? And it caught me in the right place in my life to think, what do I want from life? And it's
which is the last 25 years.
Pretty much. But mainly, I could come home from work, put this on, and it's a nice thing to just drive around. It's very, not methodic. It's just relaxing to just go to poster box, talk to someone, do that. Also, it's got a cameo by Mackenzie Crook in it, who plays a detectorist.
Do you have a metal detector?
He did. He's
Yay!
a detectorist. And he plays the
God, I love that
character
show.
from The Detectorists, which is also a very gentle
Fantastic.
little sitcom. That's what he's like. Well, not sitcom, well, comedy.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
It is wonderful. I hadn't thought about that in years, so that was a nice little thing that turned up. So I approve. I think if you want a nice calming game, go for it. This is my game of the year at the moment. This
Wow.
week.
Have you ever had a look at Stardew Valley?
I own
I
it.
believe that's also on Game Pass.
I bought it, I think, at one point. I
very good
have
game.
yet to start it because it's one of those
From
things.
what I've heard, it's a very, very similar thing. Because when you were describing it, it sounds like what you're getting out of Red Dead and what you used to get out of GTA, which was you'd pop in once a day, have a couple of little tasks to do, and they weren't really like
That's
visceral,
exactly
in
what
your
it is,
face
yeah.
kind of thing. It's just like essentially like a second job, but you feel like you're learning a character and learning a world, and
It is all about living in the world, yeah. It's not, if you look at this game objectively, I don't think you'd say, oh, this is the best game this year. I don't think you'd say this is the best made game this year or the most pretty game or any other things. But for a nice experience...
And of course, to those new here, this isn't... None of these picks were released this year. This is what we have played this year.
That is correct. Although I think this might have been released this year. I'm going to try and look it up now while I'm talking. But...
It always goes well. Expect a stony silence from Jason. Just clack, 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 clack.
I think it was this September it came out. Yeah. September 21.
Well, maybe they are still polishing it then. Maybe it's like... Because a couple of things go on to Game Pass as like an early access thing. While they're working out the kinks. It gets it to a wide audience very quickly for putting the final touches or, refining this, that, and the other.
Could
So
be.
maybe that's why they've done it.
Well, I'll come back to it. Also, it's got... I did make the error of beginning looking at the achievements, and some of the achievements clearly were going to be, oh, that's one optional ending, that's another optional ending, that's another optional ending, that's another... So I could clearly work out, that's the paths I could go down, and that might have informed... There was a point in the game where I was like, oh, I bet they're going to make me do this thing and make arrangements with this one person and also the other person at the same time, and I bet that's going to be a problem. And I was about
Classic
halfway...
80s sitcom.
And I was about halfway down the road, and I thought, no, I know exactly what I'm going to do, because I, in my mind, know how I want this game to end, and was just heading towards that. So I would suggest don't look at the achievements beforehand, because it might cloud how you play. If you want to play, I tend to play these type of games, choice games, is I want to be me in that situation. So I don't want to know ahead of time where it's going to go. I want to just see where I end up. And I did end up...
You could just get a job at the post office, right?
And
that's an actual thing you can do.
In the end credits, there's basically a thing that says, it doesn't say a shout out, but I'm going to say a shout out to all the postal workers. We know that your job is a lot harder than depicted here. So I was quite happy with that. So yeah, good game. That is my game of the year. Lake.
Nice.
Very good. Adam, take it away.
Mine probably isn't a surprise to you guys, but it's Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I had to pick it.
Really thought it was going to be Boulder Dash for the Commodore 64. So close!
I had to pick this game. If you've been following the channel for a while, you'll know I'm a big fan of Assassin's Creed games. But if you don't know much about it, I shall tell you a little bit about it. So, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is the 11th game in the series, I believe. And it is based in Greece, in the ancient world of Greece. And you play as a brother or sister. You have the choice at the beginning of the game, but it also, in the real world, when you come out of what is called the Animus, which allows you to go back into time, you play as the Layla Hassan, which is from the previous game, which is based in Egypt, I believe. And yeah, it's a great game. It's very in depth, hours upon hours upon hours of gameplay in it. And you start off so you're Spartan. As you start off, a massive tragedy happens. I won't spoil it for you. And you join. So I picked the sister. So you join Katrina in her home. The name escapes me for a second, but you start there and you just start doing missions, and then you sort of find out that your family is still alive, and then you go in to trying to find your family, and then you end up in the Peloponnesian War. I can't say that word. Between Athens and Sparta. Right. It's probably way wrong. And the era is 431 to 422 BC, and it's a great game. It's made by Ubisoft, and yeah, go play it. It's an epic game. Basically.
So, is it, from what you were saying before, is it welcoming to newcomers, or do you need the context of, say, the previous games, or at least the previous game, to really get the most out of it? Or do you think someone this could be someone's first Assassin's Creed game and they'd love it, they'd just get a little more out of it having played the previous installments? What do you reckon?
One thing I will say about all the Assassin's Creed games is they've done a very good, in my opinion, very good balance between being able to just jump into any one of their games and pick it up, because essentially it's a brand new story almost every single time. The first 2 or 3 kind of sided on the side of you kind of needed to play the first ones before it, but you could still just jump in. Whereas these ones now, the later ones, you can just jump straight in, no worries. But if you have played the other ones, it just gives you that little bit more from the game. So yeah, you can just jump straight into this, and you'll love it. You'll absolutely love it. I do have a downside.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What's that?
In previous Assassin's Creed games, there was an aspect to it which I love, which you guys know. There was like a little building aspect. So, in the very first games, you would build up the area by paying for upgrades to the buildings that you either owned or... it was a way to earn money in the game, basically. Within
like
the game.
in Fable?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. And then there was certain stages I've got upgrades that you could do to certain buildings, and I actually loved that, because as you start off, you're starting in like a real ramshackle type building, and then by the time you're really into the game, it's like this pristine sort of mansion type thing. And yeah, I love that bit of the game, but maybe that's just, I don't know, the builder in me, I don't know. But in this, there isn't any of that at all. They've completely wiped it from the game, and I really don't like that. They need to add that back in. I haven't played Valhalla yet, which is the next one, so I'm hoping it's in that. But yeah, that's my only downside to the game.
I'm trying to think if that was in the Egypt one. I don't think it was.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
But you're right. In the old ones, it's a good way of showing progress, and just your town or your building or whatever would just get prettier and prettier and nicer and earn you money without you doing anything, and you just spend more and more. It was good.
Yeah.
That kind of happened back in the days when I used to play. You'd have what I'm remembering is you had like a homestead that was away from the main cities you go around.
Yes. Yeah.
And that would get nicer. You could put money into it and it'd get nicer and stuff as you progress through the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing I really like about the games is, slightly on that point as well, is how beautiful the game is. Like, every single game I've played, it's absolutely stunning. And they've actually tried as much as they can to be accurate to history as well. So I know for a fact that Venice, they actually got real maps of Venice from that time and tried to build up Venice within the realms of what they thought it looked like. And I love that, because within the Venice one, I actually could go inside the hotel I stayed in and found the room I slept in. Yeah, it was amazing. I was like, holy crap, I've been
And murder
there.
yourself.
Yeah, this is great. I love this. So yeah, that was a very pleasant surprise for me. But,
I think
so
they're
that's how
very
I know
good.
they're accurate.
Well, they're very good at putting across that they strive for accuracy, but then there are certain things which obviously they need to make it gamified and make it work better.
Yeah.
I know for a fact the
Yeah.
one in London is there's a lot of copy pasted buildings there aren't really in those places, and they've reduced a whole lot. And they clearly state the one in Egypt is that in reality a lot of the statues would be painted in like bright colours, but it just looks silly for modern times
Yes.
to think of statues like that, so
Yeah.
they didn't do it. So, but they do explain it in the history side of it, which I quite like. They did like you can sort of visit it as a school lesson basically, and just walk around and it will tell you stuff about the buildings and that sort of thing, which they've also, which I do believe they'd use in schools actually. Not the slashing people, assassination from high buildings. They cut that a bit out.
Yeah, excuse me, kids. I've just got to beat this guy up and kill him, but then we can go to the history lesson.
Your homework is to assassinate the merchant Real de Poli and unlock this particular section of Venice, and then we'll go on a nice tour when you come back into class.
And
I do
for
like-
religious studies. Go and have a fist fight with the Pope. That'd be good.
Yeah, so-
No, you've gone too far.
I do like that fact though. The fact that when you get to a new place, it will pop up and there'll be like an added little bit that you can select, and it will tell you if it's a building within history. It will tell you about that building. I do like that fact. That is a very
Yes,
nice little touch.
I've definitely been to places in real life and I've recognised them from the game.
Yeah.
And instantly want to climb up the walls, but you don't know how in real life.
Yeah, it's got a
Like,
great view from
walking-
up the Campanile Tower, but I can't get up there.
Walking along a lovely street at night and suddenly you see a guy in a hoodie and have a panic attack. Oh God, he's coming to get me!
So yeah, that is my game of the year.
Quick question. Did you play any of the DLC for it?
I'm currently playing some of the DLC now, actually.
Okay. Which gets less and less accurate, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, they're... Well...
Oh wait, no, when we were doing the Dinocast, he said he fought a Minotaur or something, and that realistic to begin with.
Well, realistic to mythology, I suppose. They've gone with that one. But yeah, no, I've just beaten Medusa. So,
There you go.
Yeah.
And that was Assassin's Creed Odyssey, yeah?
Yes, correct.
So look forward to next year's Game of the Year for Adam, which will be Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
You know it.
No, man, it's absolutely lovely that you have a series like that you can come back to year after year or every couple of years and just fall in love with it again.
Yeah.
I like my favourite game franchises are the likes of Deus Ex and Metroid, where you'll casually go 9 years between bloody games. So, I may consider the quality higher on my particular beloved games because of the amount of time they get to put into them, but the weight is soul crushing. Which brings us to my game of the year, which isn't even a game of the year, it is games of the year. So before I unveil, I first do want to give one final shout out to Observation, not Observer for listeners of the podcast. Observation, which was the wonderful sci-fi story told through the view of a ship's AI which you control. That game is a goddamn masterpiece. I've not played anything like it before. I may not even play anything like it again, but I loved every second of that game, and I have seen it was on Game Pass. I have since purchased a copy, even though I've already cleared all the achievements, just to give money to that studio to see what they will produce in the future.
I thought that was going to be your game of the year, to be honest.
I did too. That's on my shortlist. But I didn't.
Oh well, I'll tell you how close it was. I've written 2 things down here, and I hadn't decided which one was getting Game of the Year.
Observation and Observer.
I had to go this way around, and it's still not Game of Year. It's Games of the Year. It is the Metroid series, because this year I have played Metroid 2: The Return of Samus. I have played Metroid Fusion. I have played Metroid Prime 3 Corruption. I have played Metroid Dread, which it was all leading up to. And so my singular pick of the year, I guess Metroid Dread inches it out. But, like, it could easily have been Fusion. Or it could easily even have been Zero Mission. The Metroid series this year is certainly the thing I've played the most, and the things I've played the most. And I have gained a new appreciation for what each entry into the series has done, both in fleshing out its own universe, its own playstyle, building on the ones before. I don't think it gets enough credit for this. Fucking Metroid 2 is on the Game Boy. There's no way the Game Boy should have been able to do this. And it all, like, I've played all of these games, and all of them feel like the same universe. And right up to Metroid Dread, which, like, the Prime games are first-person shooters, and they feel the same as the 2D side-scrolling platformers. And then Metroid Dread is just an absolute masterpiece of a game. Anyone who hasn't played it, I don't want to spoil it, but I will if you listen to my Zero Mission series, so I'll get onto Metroid Dread soon. But with the slight caveat that I thought it restricted you backtracking a little, it's basically a perfect game. It looks gorgeous, it plays gorgeously, the map is incredible, the powers are fantastic, the boss battles are pulse pounding and intense. The mechanic brought in for Samus Returns, which is back, which is the block. Like, creatures will come at you and you can repel them and get a free shot in. All of that was absolutely fantastic. The Emmys are standout. For a Nintendo game, the story is surprisingly deep in lore. Everyone, just, if you've got a Nintendo Switch, go buy Metroid Dread. Like, if you don't think you'll like it, there's a free demo. Play that and see if you like it, because it is an absolute masterpiece. Now, I do think there will be a slight... one of the drawbacks coming in fresh is that it's very heavily dependent on the lore of a couple of the previous games. But you have had 13 years to play them. What's your excuse? Go buy Metroid Dread and play all of the Metroid series. They're wonderful. Game of the year. But what is your game with gold of the year?
Oh,
Adam, I'm going to go to you first.
well, this was a recent one, and I absolutely love this game. Aero. And
Oh, nice.
yeah, I love that game. I still play that game. In fact, I was playing it just before we logged on for this very chat. And it's a rhythm action rail shooter with a very awesome soundtrack. That's one of the main features I love about it. Developed by
good soundtrack.
Yeah, you gotta love it. It's developed by a two-man British game developer, Mad Fellows, and it's just an all-round great game. The difficulty ramps up level by level, and you get a boss fight pretty much every 5 levels. I'm about halfway through. Yeah, I'm just over 50%, and they're very simple in the way it's been done, as in the artwork, but again detailed at the same time, if that makes any sense. And you can tell it's like an asset game with a simplistic style, and it doesn't look cheap. It doesn't look half-assed. It doesn't look flung together. Everything is informing you about what you need to do next, even as it's trying to distract you with other things. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. You said it so much better than I did. Thank you. The ride on the rail bit, so there's sections of each level where you've got to ride on this light rail, and when you hit it 100%, it plays more of the soundtrack, but when you roll off of it, some of the soundtrack disappears, and I really love that little mechanic. It's really good. It's almost an extra incentive to like get that 100%. And the boss battles are a lot of fun. The way it shoots and aims, I find quite good, but at the same time challenging. And yeah, it's just an all-round great game. Go get it. Yeah, really, really good. That's my Games with Gold.
Awesome. Jason?
Hello.
What is your favourite Games with Gold game this year?
I'm going to start by throwing a few games out there because I don't know what Sean's going to say. And if one of these is not one you're not going to talk about, maybe we'll circle back to it later. So I will mention, just for reference, Kingdom 2 Crowns, or Moving Out, or Zone of Enders, or Aero. Come to that. Those were probably some of my favourites this year. But I wasn't going to talk about those. So... Oh, no. But that's partly judging what I think Sean might or may not say. So anyway, and you've already covered Aero, so I won't go into that. So I'm going to go back to one I think I'm probably the only one that liked it much, and that was the Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb with Games with Gold. Yeah, very retro feeling Indiana Jones style game. It's another third-person one. I thought the controls were perfectly adequate for what it was. It just brought back a lot of fun feeling. It was running around, jumping over traps, swinging, lots of fun. I mean, I also did that in the Lego version, which also came out as a Games with Gold. But I'm going to choose the Xbox 360 version of Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb. Because it came out. I didn't really expect to enjoy it, and I did, so I was happy. And that's what I'm going to choose. I
was convinced you were going to say Samurai Showdown 2.
Again, better than I thought. But no, I'm trying to think which one that was. I know there's one that I preferred over all the other fighting games this year.
That was the one we both hated, but it had all the dodgy translation.
Oh, well, I think that's why I liked it, though. I think I liked it because of as I think I described it at the time, it looked like a game trying to be retro and nostalgic and that sort of thing, and it did achieve that in many ways, including the bad translations and the bad quality of some of the things. Yes.
And also because it was made back then. So
was it?
Not trying to be anything, it literally was.
I might be thinking
25-odd-year-old game.
That was it. It looked like a modern thing trying to look like an old thing, and it just was an old thing. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But that's not the game. Indiana Jones. Anyway, if you like the films, if you like swinging, if you like swinging, that's a whole different thing. Go to a car park or something, or get some people around with some car keys. If you like swinging,
you're confusing swinging with dogging there.
I'm now going to bring whips in. No, you can mix and match. You could meet them.
Jason's Games with Gold of the Year is dogging.
Where has this conversation gone?
There are other categories to come. We'll come back later. Basically, I'm going to not talk about whips or anything now. If you like rugged men swinging around in jungles and finding treasures, play this game. It's pretty good. I like it. You should try it too. We've made a video on it. Go watch it.
Wasn't that the same video, sorry, that we discovered that someone hadn't actually watched all the Indiana Jones?
Yes.
Who was that? Was that you, Jay?
I've not watched them all.
No, he hasn't watched them all.
Oh, right, okay.
I only saw
I've
the
got
third
no
Indiana
interest in
Jones.
any movie starring Shia
He must have done some good films. He's a character. I'd only seen the third one, the Sean Connery one, quite a short time before doing that video.
One good
right.
one.
And I enjoyed it. It was a good film. People agree. It's a known thing. People like it. I concur.
Excellent film.
Sean Connery apparently can act. It's very good in Time Bandits. Anyway,
Very bad in marriages. My game with gold of the year was I narrowed it down carefully to a list of 2 games, right?
yeah.
One was Bleed 2,
Oh,
which
yeah.
was actually released last year, so he's ineligible, even though I have played it a lot this year. That was probably my Games with Gold game of the year last year anyway. But as I may have mentioned in that video, I did get the soundtrack. I buy it. It's on my phone. Oh, that game is so wonderful. But no, my Games with Gold of the year is the only Games with Gold this year I believe I completed. And not only did I complete it, but I immediately restarted it again.
Oh my God.
Because I loved it so much. And that is Kingdom 2 Crowns.
Nice.
I've been playing this. I didn't, even when me and Jason made that video together, I'd played 20 odd minutes before we did that video, right? And I didn't really expect much from it. And I got absolutely hooked, because I normally don't like to game for like 5-10 minutes. I like to sit down, I like to have a proper experience and sit down for 2-3 hours and just do that. But Kingdom 2 Crowns gave me the opportunity to just be like, oh, I'm cooking, so I've got 20 minutes. I'm not going to put on a bigger game. I'll just thingy this. I'll just kick around with this. And sometimes that 20 minutes turned into about 4 hours. And the level of like pride and joy you get, like even now, even when I'm about 2/3 of the way through my second playthrough, getting that wall up just is so exciting. Oh, you're just fighting against the time, and you need to keep a mental track of how many days have gone by, because I believe it's every 10 days it throws a super hard wave at you. But then never, as long as you've got everything in place and as long as you're expecting it, it's never unfair. I absolutely love it. It brings in late game mechanics such as a season cycle. So you will get months where it's snowing and you can't grow crops. So you need to go forage in bushes and stuff, and like you have to have like quite early on in the game, when you upgrade enough to get like the town manager guy, the ghost of your ancestor will pop along and say, you need to stock your coffers. I'm not going to tell you why, just stock your coffers. I'd never done that, and I got to the first winter, I'm like, fuck! Well, I'm screwed. And just had to basically go and chop down trees and forage in little bushes, because it's the only way I could get money. I'm not sure if I had the spears by then, because the spearsmen will go and pluck fish out for a coin and stuff like that. But yeah, I adore Kingdom 2 Crowns. When I'm finished this, I'm going to give it a little bit of a break, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do the DLC, and then I'm going to give it a break, and then I'm going to come back and do the other DLC. And if they release more, I'm going to pay for that and play that as well. Yeah, it's an absolutely delightful little game, and I can't recommend it enough. And it was free. I'd never have played this if it weren't free with Games of Gold. I love it.
It's a very addictive game. Very addictive game. Love it.
See, that's the progression you need in Assassin's Creed these days. Like building walls and
Yes.
Putting your coffers aside. That's what you want. That pride.
That's not going to do any good. You'll just climb over them.
Yes, but
It's like
you
Assassin's
can.
Creed's whole thing.
No, Kingdom True Crowns, that was very close to being the one I was going to choose. And I'll be honest, one of the main reasons I didn't is I thought you might choose it. So...
I'm exactly the same.
thoroughly
I was
agree.
going to choose it as well.
a huge surprise.
Yeah, to be fair,
hit.
I have been posting in the group chat quite a lot of, oh my god, I've done this now! Next, we have game played for the channel. So this is any game we've made a video on, so it can go back to being the Games of Gold again. It can be something else, and I'm going to take this first.
No.
And you won't be surprised, it's Metroid Zero Mission. I get to play a new Metroid game. I freaking love Metroid, so there you go. If you want to hear my thoughts on it, go watch that series. I'm basically having the best time in talking about Metroid stuff. I don't even mean this as just as a plug for the thing. I freaking love playing that game. It's awesome. Jason,
Hello.
what's your favourite game you played for the channel this year?
My favourite game I played for the channel this year was Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. I played it with you, Sean.
Keep talking, nobody explodes!
Exactly. For those that don't know, it's a game where there's a bomb going off and you've got two people in different rooms and one's got the bomb, one's got the instructions, and one has to tell the other one how to defuse the bomb. And that's what it's like when you get me and Sean in a room and we just wind each other up and get annoyed with each other because we can't solve puzzles and we can't talk to each other. I don't know how long I've known you, Sean, but we still communicate in slightly different ways, and it's so much fun to try and understand that when there's a timer going off and an imminent explosion. That series went on a lot longer than I expected. It's still going, actually, so stay tuned for the new year because there's more coming. And yeah, it's again another very incredibly simple game, and that gradually gets harder and harder as you go along. And it is about. It does come down to the relationship between two people and how they interact, and you've just got to key into what communicates something quickly. Or just do what we do and faff about and then explode. But either way, it's a lot of fun, and I've got an accent. I've enjoyed it, so I have. Good game. Good game.
One of my favourite moments of that series actually is one that one of our subscribers messaged about. It's when I think Jason said, yeah, in the top left, and Sean goes, right, okay, in the top right.
Oh, that happens so often. So I was editing most of these, and it was the amount of time I would watch through and see where the error occurred. And there's a few of them I really point it out with like arrows and say, this is the moment. Stay tuned because this is where this is where the tree expands into different. Oh, we're all talking about different things now. But lots of fun.
This is the first thread that's plugged that unravels the entire jumper.
Yeah, in 5 minutes' time, they'll realise why they don't know what they're talking about.
No, I'll agree with you. It's an absolute ton of fun to play, and I love the videos. You've done a wonderful job with them.
Yeah,
thank you very
excellent editing.
Adam, what is your whatever category you're on?
Game for the channel.
Game we've played for the channel. Sorry.
I'm glad I put a second choice because Jason came up with the one I was going to pick. Mine was also Keep Talking Nobody Explodes. Even though I haven't played it, I feel like I have because part of the channel and it's such a great game. So my second choice.
We should get you to guest voice on a video playing Adult in the Room, just calming us down. Like, don't give you access to anything in the game. You're just like, now are you sure you meant left there, Jason? Because I'm pretty sure Sean's going to have gone right. I've not gone right.
You can have me like as a phone a friend. just call me and say, have we gone right anywhere? Yes, you're going left instead of right. So, my second choice is a game that we've just released, and I enjoyed it this much. Orcs Must Die.
Nice.
And it's not just because I've literally just played it, but it is a very good game. I do like a tower defense game, and that does it extremely well. It does a very good job on it. Everything is easy on it. Everything is easy to place. The fighting is a lot of fun. It ramps up in difficulty. The levels get harder and harder. Yeah, go play it. It's an awesome game. In fact, it's currently still Games for Gold. So, yeah.
Just to add to that, there is a wonderful thing, like Kingdom 2 Crowns, just going back a second.
Yeah.
You can't interact with the enemies or anything.
Nah.
But you can interact with the world, with the steeds you get. I don't know if one of them attacks. I haven't found one attacks, but I've got a griffin, right? And you can flap and you can push enemies away with it. And the amount of times I've launched forward to use that as an attack and gone, it's not that kind of game! It's not that kind of game! Get back inside the wall, you're going to die!
Yeah, I think we all mentioned when we first started playing the game, our instinct, all three of us, was to just start waving out, trying to shoot arrows at stuff, like enemies. And we all realised very quickly that doesn't work.
Yeah, doesn't work. Yeah. But no.
Yeah, Orcs Must Die looked like an absolute ton of fun. And the best of both worlds. You get your tower defense stuff, and you get the visceral carnage of standing in there with a crossbow.
Yes, yeah. I'm actually looking forward to trying out Orcs Must Die 2 and Orcs Must Die 3, because 2 and 3 introduced multiplayer. So that would be a lot of fun, and maybe, just maybe, it might be a series to play in the channel in the future. Maybe. So, Orcs Must Die.
Excellent. Video and/or series that we've put up on the channel.
Ooh.
Adam, you're going first.
Oh, so this one I hold a lot of pride in, purely because not only did I edit it, but I actually built the freaking world, and it's I'm Dino's Olympics.
Yep.
Oh, beautiful.
You should be incredibly proud of that, mate.
Thank you.
Both the building, the execution, the way you filmed it, that you got John to come back and participate in it. It was great to play with him again. That was absolutely excellent. 10 out of 10.
Oh, thank you. Seriously, like I was.
And I hate sport.
I was so worried about this whole thing. I was more than up for it, as in I really wanted to do it, but I was really also worried that it would just completely fail. The building
you've been constructing that for like 2 years or something, right?
Yes.
The Olympics got put back a year.
Yeah. Well, it started off with me and John. That's how far back it went. And we started building the world, and then John said, it got to the point where John said, like, I've had enough, I'm going to pull away from the channel. So we was like, yep, that's totally cool. Carried on with the channel, went to go build the world as I normally do on a Thursday, and I suddenly realised the world is on John's Xbox. This is going to prove difficult. So instead of badgering him and like, oh, can you just turn on your Xbox, please? I thought, okay, or trying to get a copy across to my Xbox, I just thought, do you know what? Let's rebuild. So I had to start from scratch and rebuild. And yeah, it's a great little tiny mini series. It's only 2 episodes. You'll absolutely love it. As Sean said, it's 4 of us playing a few slightly altered games purely because it's Minecraft, and it's just a whole heap of fun. And hopefully this year, if I get stage 3 of the build complete, we might have another one. Who knows? So yeah, that is my video series.
It would be a bit of a shame to make you wait 4 years before you ever used all of that hard work again.
Yeah, well, I should get a lot done in the time, that's for sure.
Yeah, we're better than the real Olympics. We do it every year.
Yeah.
They're so lazy. Jason, go!
Hello, I've just changed my mind while we've been talking. My actual
Cool.
response to this was keep talking, nobody explodes again. But I've just spoken about that, so let's scrap that. My actual favourite series is one I'm
it
not.
can be both.
Yeah, it can be both, and technically it is both. But for something else to talk about in this little bit, because I want to hear my own voice, is I've quite enjoyed. It's not really a series, but it is a series. it's Sean's videos. He pops up with random games that he's just discovered, like Skatebird and that shark game. When you just find something you like and you just stick it up. That is sometimes some of my favourite videos to just watch.
Skatebird skates.
Yeah, but it's still, to be honest, watching Skatebird is great because it's you trying to be as non-judgmental and giving it a fair chance as you can. Which I'm not saying is a great effort, and it doesn't last long, but it's good to watch you do it. And it's quite a nice thing to watch a video where it is just a game which you may never even heard of, or you might have heard of but never thought you're going to play it, and just to see what it is and see someone else experience it for the first time. And I enjoyed that lovely, immensely, greatly. I can't. I'm speechless by what's going on here. Yes, so basically it's the random little ones that just pop up. So it's not really a series, but I'm now going to call that a series. It's the little oddments of Sean's likings of Game Pass or whatever happens to be about. And that's where observation came from as well, I think. That's one of those. I'm going to class that in the same thing. That was one that we sort of went, I like this game, I'm going to make a video. And I think, what better reason to make a video? Or I don't like this game, I'll make a video. Whatever.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
That's all right.
There will be more of them next year. There were going to be a couple more, actually. I just didn't get time to make them. Night Call was going to be one. I'd never played anything quite like that, and it's a genre that started taking off.
Is that the taxi one?
It's the one where it's all black and white. It's all noir. You play a taxi driver driving around France during a spate of murders. You are the victim of an attack, but you manage to survive, and basically one of the cops says, right, I hate to say this, but you've got prior crimes and I need to arrest someone for this, but we know that he works on your route, so you've got X amount of days to give me something I can use to catch the actual criminal, or you are going down for this. And it plays with and just based on that, it plays with institutional racism, authoritarianism, and it's just wonderful to sit in a taxi and learn about these lives and stuff. So that was going to be one, and I just ran out of time. Went off Game Pass before I got a chance to do one about it.
Yeah, I downloaded it and then it went off Game Pass. So I downloaded it from Game Pass, didn't buy it, and then I was really looking forward to buying that because it does sound a lot like my game, and can't speak to that. Sounds a lot like the type of game I'd like. Like I liked doing the postal service thing earlier, taxi driving, learning about people, like hidden mysteries that you've got to pick up on as you go around. I like that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think I would like that.
I've actually left it on my Xbox hard drive just to remind myself to keep looking for it in sales.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what it is normally, but if it comes down to like if it's normally 10 quid, it's probably worth that. I was going to buy it right off the bat, but then a game called Neocab came out, which is basically the same thing but set in a cyberpunk universe.
Oh, wow.
So I bought that instead because I'm a bit more of a cyberpunk guy. But no, take this random aside chunk, which is nothing to do with the thing we're meant to be talking about.
It's a series.
Take this as my recommendation, my little side video to go definitely give I think it's called Night Call. It might be called Night Cab. Night Taxi? Hang on.
Night Rider.
I literally still have it downloaded. Give me a second.
Oh, stay tuned.
It's nothing like doing this live. Night Call. It's called Night Call. Yeah, definitely give that a go. That was an absolute. That was really great. That really emotionally hooked me really easily. Bear in mind, I freaking love noir and all that brings, and this is just pure noir. But yeah, really liked that. But that's not my video of the year because I didn't make a video on it. My video is, of course, what is to this date my masterpiece, Lego Killer Moth 2.
Ah.
It cost me £30 and took over 20 hours it took 10 hours just to animate that Batman the Animated Series opening at the beginning, using nothing but a phone, the Lego Killer Moth toys I already had, a torch, a blanket, and my desk. and a couple of bits of paper. I actually, like, there's a tiny shot in that where you pan up the side of a building and there's a fire escape. That I had a Tipex marker and I drew like all of the stairs up the side of my black wardrobe, and you can barely make them out in the video, but that's the level of detail I went. If you play that side by side with the original opening, there's like 2 little bits that are a bit out of sync because I had to change them to make it a bit more visually interesting. But certainly once you get into the action and all that, it is like pretty much perfect to the original. I'm so proud of that. And then I sat and I got a big list and I read every single Killer Moth comic again, because I've already done this several times, massive Killer Moth fan, and I sat and made meticulous notes about each and every one, at least as long as there was something interesting going on. And I made this massive script that was like, God, thousands and thousands of words, and there's a little bit of ad-libbing in there too, because I don't like to just straight up read from a script. Like my Metroid videos are all bullet points. It's like, I want to talk about this, I want to talk about this, I want to talk about this. Little bits that are in the that are important to the plot just help me remember everything that happened. But I like to kind of shoot from the hip with bullet points, and doing that for the Lego Killer Moth thing over God knows how many comics, like 40, 50 comics maybe. He's not appeared that much, considering how much love I have for the guy. He's really not appeared that much, and not really appeared in anything overly important, but I fucking love the character. I love his look. I've always liked him because one of the first Killer Moth comics I ever read was The Misfits, so I give a plenty amount of time in the video. But like the love for it exploded when like my buddy Lee started getting into Batman comics, and he needed, like, he was referencing lame bad guys, and somewhere in the conversation I'm like, well, Killer Moth isn't lame, but, you know, he's kind of lame. And it became an in-joke between us. And from that, like, I started buying the Lego figures, like, at the sci-fi weekend and stuff when Lee was around us, like a taunt. It's like, oh, the Lego Moth thing continues. And from there, like, the genuine love has just expanded as I've been like, well, to be fair, I always wanted, like, that one actual action figure he got, so I wound up spending like 90 quid on that. And yeah, my love for Killer Moth has grown and grown and grown, and it will never end. And it's got to the point now that I have made a 50-odd minute video purely based on my love for the character, and he's in Lego Batman 3. And I have an idea, as long as this doesn't happen for like 6 months, I have an idea of what I'm going to do for it. And like the current Lego Killer Moth video 2 is the most ridiculous thing I've ever done for the channel. But fuck me, my plan for 3 is going to blow it out of the water. But yeah, I love that video. I think that's very watchable and very listenable. I can very much imagine that most people think the first minute is very good and very watchable. After which, if you're not getting the joke, like, part of the reason I did this was just for the joke, because the whole point is, you look at there, you're sitting there going, oh, here's one of their Games of Gold videos about Lego Batman 2, and I just talk for like the better part of an hour about a fucking obscure Batman villain. Like, conceptually, that was my starting point with the video, and then I thought, hang on, I've got all these toys, I could probably animate this, and then it just spiraled from there. But I'm unbelievably proud of that video, even if, well, actually quite a few people have watched it, but mostly my friends who know my obsession with Killer Moth, who are going, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, I'm telling you my love for Killer Moth!
I have to say, you did do very well on the animation. I was very impressed. You should be proud of that, for sure.
Oh, I'm so proud. I've wanted to animate stuff since I was a kid, and I got quite into animating with Flash back in the day, but I don't know if I've got attention deficit disorder or some bollocks like that, but I will hit wall with things and I will get really fed up that I'm not progressing and moving forward enough, and eventually I'll get so frustrated I'll drop like the hobby. That's why a lot of my hobbies are passive things like reading and running and stuff like that. Even with my running, I get quite annoyed that I'm not getting the time down as much as I like. So getting to jump back into a form of animation and stuff and have it work and have to, like, as you might imagine, I've seen that opening to Batman the Animated Series 900 million times. It's one of my favourite shows of all time. So I know it back to front anyway. But, like, trying to figure out what toy to use and how to use them to rework it, and then, like, you know, getting the little lighter in exactly the right place so you can't see the lighter but you can see the flame come up to light the back of the car as it drives off and all that kind of stuff. Like, one of the hardest things to do is this shot, and it does bug me because this took me half an hour, if not more, to get quite right. And one of their wings is slightly still in shot, but it's when the bank is actually on fire. Because I had to get the lighter. I've got like one of the lighters with the long prod, so it's not burning my fingers. But I had to get that really close to the camera without actually, you know, melting my phone. And with my other hand, without casting a shadow on anything, pull two strings, because otherwise the characters turn rather than move sideways. And pull two little strings at exactly the right way and exactly the right angle to make them move at exactly the right pace. Oh, its pacing was one of the biggest problems. It's so fucking hard to get it like perfectly timed. But yeah, super proud of that. If you've not seen it, at least watch the first minute. It's incredible. I'm so proud of it.
I think you need to re-release that first minute with a director's commentary. I think that would be good.
Well, after I rejigged it a couple of times to get around the copyright strike, I might release it as a little video on its own. Just for fun.
I'll just say it's very educational. I learned a lot about Killer Moth I didn't know before.
Did you know anything before other than it's the name of a character and Sean loves him?
I knew what he looked like.
Okay.
I knew Lee liked him. Or didn't. So... yeah, he is up there with the small group of villains that I've heard of but don't really know much about. And now I feel like I do. So thank you, Sean. Thank you, teacher.
I didn't mention in the video, he was considered for both Gotham and Batman the Animated Series, and in both cases the writers couldn't figure out how to make him not lame. Wow. We're moving on to movies. Jason, movie of the year.
Good. Well, I've seen like maybe 4 films this year, so I've got a lot to choose from. I've not made my decision yet, so I'll tell you what I've seen. I've probably seen more than this, but they're really old stuff or things I definitely wouldn't categorise in this. I saw Black Widow. I saw Shang-Chi and the Legends of the Ten Rings, whatever it was.
Christ, I really hope it's not either of those.
I saw, well, there's not many left to choose from, to be fair. I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I saw the end. Well, no, I finally watched the last half of the remake of The Magnificent Seven, which I started watching about 4 years ago on Netflix and decided to finish it because it was on TV. And I was quite happy with the last half of it. It's right good. I gave up on it years ago, but yeah.
Particularly like any of those.
I know you didn't, but when that's all you got to choose from, what do you choose? So I thought I'd just give you an overview.
I don't think we should allow you a choice.
This goes
Adam!
to the listeners.
Nah.
What would you choose given Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and the second half of The Magnificent Seven remake?
I'd choose
Hollywood,
Black Widow out of all those.
Really? Black Widow's awful.
It was, but out of those, I would say it was probably the best.
I definitely think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is Tarantino's weakest, but I still think as a film it's very competently made.
Right, that's what I'm going for. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a decent film. It was enjoyable. It's an oldish film now, it's a few years old, isn't it?
Yeah,
and I sort of left
or
it.
something.
Yes, it's not that old, but it's old enough that I've just about got around to it, and I enjoyed it. So, yeah, it's a short chat. Good film. Tarantino, he's made some better films. This was a good film. It was well acted. It was well shot. It had some nice dialogue. I had fun. Watch it yourself. Or don't, watch more films than me. Can you watch 5 films this year? Anyone?
I've watched 5 films this month.
I know you have. We have very different problems when it comes to making this list.
Adam, please do better than
For the
that.
love of God, Adam.
Okay, I had quite a lot of choice. I've seen a fair amount of movies this year. But I had to choose one purely because of my love of the actors.
Okay.
The movie itself is alright, but the actors really make the movie. So it is Red Notice.
Ah, yes.
It had Ryan Reynolds. And if I pronounce this right...
Oh, is this that thing with The Rock?
Yeah. It's
can you
got
pronounce The Rock?
Yeah,
Gal
Dwayne Johnson.
Gadot.
Gal Gadot.
Hey, I got it right. And
May or may not feature in mine.
So it's about an FBI profiler pursuing the world's most wanted art thief who becomes his reluctant partner when chasing down these very expensive eggs.
I have a story about that.
And it's a lot of fun. It is huge amounts of fun. Ryan Reynolds and The Rock just make the whole movie. Gal Gadot definitely has a very good role in it, but it's those two who really push the movie on. It's funny. It's quite serious at times as well, and it's a great movie. Yeah, definitely go watch it.
I believe that is now Netflix's most watched movie of all time.
Yes.
I believe so.
I don't know if that's just out of like the movies Netflix has produced or everything that's ever been on there, but that's a stat I heard. That's not my fact.
I'll believe that.
Yeah, no, I do know that. Yeah.
Right,
I haven't seen it.
Here's my fact.
Go on.
I have the misfortune of watching some WWE wrestling, right? Because my buddy watches it, and it's a good chance for us to connect. That fucking egg was used in a storyline because they had a brand deal with WWE. So the fucking owner of the company shows up with that fucking prop, and he puts it in a case, and he's trying to convince people it's worth $100 million, and it gets stolen, and the whodunit was wrapped up the next night on the next episode of programming because they thought wrestling fans would somehow be interested in that. It's fucking terrible. But even better, the original plan was for them to put it with they've got this really low rent comedy belt. They were gonna put it with that, and The Rock still having his part of the reason the deal was parlayed was because they're in talks with The Rock to come back and wrestle a bit more. He heard the original plan and went, that ain't fucking happening. That is not worth... Apparently, Netflix paid 7 figures for an advert on WWE, and it was a storyline that ran through 2 nights of programming, and it made me not want to watch the film. Like, the opening package for the pay-per-view, which is supposed to be selling you on the wrestling and the wrestlers, was interspliced with shit from the movie, and it's just like... This is making the move. Like, me and my mate are watching it, sitting there watching it. I'm sure this is a perfectly watchable movie, but this is making it look worse than if I'd just seen the trailer on Netflix. So that's my fact about this movie. It was, for some fucking reason, the crappy prop was tied into WWE and it was really stupid.
But have you watched the movie?
No. I will at some point because I watch all the Rock's movies, but I haven't got around to it yet. I'll probably watch it over Christmas, actually.
Definitely go watch it.
Yeah, like you, I really like The Rock, obviously. I really like Ryan Reynolds, and I really like Gal Gadot. So, yeah.
I've heard good things. The only negative things I've seen is people who say it's basically Netflix. What they do, obviously, is they get together all the information of what people like, and they put, so Rocky's good at this, and Ryan Reynolds is good at this, and Gal Gadot's good at this, and they like sort of heisty films, and they'll put all that together
wait, is she Wonder
in
Woman
one thing.
No, what's
she's
even
not
quicker if she's Wonder Woman?
From the clips I've seen, she's not far off, but anyway, she's yeah. So it's one of these where just what works for TV. It's basically a list of things which work with audiences, all smushed into one thing. And to be fair, why wouldn't that work? So yeah, everyone I know who's seen it has enjoyed it. So I will check it out. Probably about 3 years' time, and it'll be on this list in that time.
Right, I haven't decided on one yet because I've got
What?
4. Well, they're on very different criteria. On the one hand, you've got The French Dispatch, which is the latest Wes Anderson movie. It is idiosyncratic and quirky and, pretty pretentious, but it's got some of the best acting, directing, cinematography, some of the most stylistic staging you'll ever see in a movie. That was absolutely wonderful. It's literally an anthology series structured around the last issue of a American magazine about living in France from the from a long time ago. Anyway, I can't remember the year it was set. It was kind of bubbling there for a second and then it disappeared. But it's got Bill Murray and Owen Wilson and Francis McDormand and all of the a massive, wonderful cast of people. And it is truly a masterpiece. It is art. It is cinematic art. On the other hand, sorry, I'd say on a somewhat similar note, you have Dune. Dune by Denis Villeneuve, who is not only adapting one of the greatest sci-fi works of all time, he's done it in a way that tricks people into thinking they're not watching a pretentious sci-fi, slow-paced, pretentious sci-fi masterpiece. Somehow normal audiences are enjoying this film, and I don't understand it. I legitimately resigned myself to the fact that, because he always said he was doing, the first chunk of the book. And I was like, there's fucking no way this isn't bombing, and there's no way we're getting the rest of it. And somehow, by some miraculous feat, audiences have made it profitable, so we're gonna get more of it. I can't believe it. He's talking about making it a trilogy, but yeah, Dune is a frigging masterpiece. Again, the acting, the cinematography, the visuals, the soundtrack. Hans Zimmer again. He's my favourite score composer for movies. That's an absolute belter. So that was up there. Then we finally got Zack Snyder's 4-hour Justice League. Oh, yes. It's so good. I'm so gutted they didn't release it in the fucking IMAX. They released it just before the cinemas and that reopened over here. I really, really would have liked to have seen that in the IMAX, but that is, literally, if you point to any part of the original version that was released here, that's kind of cool. That's from the Snyder one, and it's infinitely better here. And it is it's 4-hour thrill ride of emotion and action and deep character moments and without going massively outside the core of it being a superhero movie. And I just mean a superhero movie. I'm not using that as shorthand for the stuff Marvel pumps out. By the way, Spider-Man was great. The new Spider-Man was great. I mean, it's nothing but pure nostalgia, but fucking hell, I'm a big Spider-Man fan. I was just sitting there having a blast. But yeah, there was that, and then there's Ghostbusters Afterlife. And I think I have to give my movie of the year to Ghostbusters Afterlife. It's not... It's this or... Basically, it's been a real struggle between this or Justice League. because I waited so long for Justice League and it over-delivered in every single way. But Ghostbusters Afterlife made me cry like a couple of times. I'm not going to spoil it in case you somehow not seen it and you like remember the original fondly or anything. But I came out of it and one of the things I said to my friend is, I know this is filmed on digital media and they've somehow used filters to make it look like it was filmed on the same film as the original, like the same lighting and stuff. It is... I don't know if there's anything for you in this movie if you don't already love Ghostbusters. Like, I don't know if it's gonna excite a new audience or bring in new people. But I don't care. I've loved Ghostbusters since I was 4 years old. I used to sit and write journals about being Egon. I had all the toys. I watched the animated series right up until I got into Turtles in the late 80s. I have watched the first Ghostbusters probably at least once a year since 1984. Quite often more so. I love the sequel. I bought the game when it first came out in 2009, which got the original cast back together, and you get to run around with them talking to you playing a game. I went on day of release to the 2016 one because I just like Ghostbusters. It was terrible, but yeah, I bought the remastered version of that same 2009 game. There is I've seen it twice in the cinema now, and that's probably in large part due to the fact that I'm trying to limit my cinema going because of COVID and stuff. I probably would have seen it 4 or 5 times, and I've resigned myself to there's a moment at the end of that film that I don't think I will ever be able to watch in my lifetime and not start crying. It is beautiful, it is wonderful, it is a big warm hug, and it does absolute respect to everything the original movies did and everyone involved with those original movies. So, yeah, my movie of the year is Ghostbusters Afterlife. I fucking love that film.
Nice.
After hearing that, it's my movie of the year as well. That's exactly what I wanted to hear from that film. I do want to watch and will watch.
I was quite aware that you didn't come with me, and I'm like, I could just spoil this right now, so I'm not going to do that.
You kid? I didn't come with you twice. So, yeah.
TV.
Whoa.
We're moving on to TV, and I'm going to take this first. I'm just
We're just crazy.
moving around I'm just moving around who answers when, so I don't want it to be so formulaic. So I set myself. Well, I do have one. I'm gonna give a shout out to AEW, which has been on fucking fire with its wrestling this year. It's been an absolute masterclass, but that's not my show of the year. My show of the year is a ridiculous goal I set myself back at the start of the year. I wondered if I could do it, and it is expanded, and I have, with the exception of, I believe, 4 specials, and no, I think with the exception of 4 specials, so I have about 2.5 hours left to watch. I've watched every single Dragon Ball episode ever. I've watched the original Dragon Ball. I've watched the movies. I've watched Dragon Ball Z. I've watched the Dragon Ball Z specials. I've watched the Dragon Ball Z movies. I watched Dragon Ball GT. I watched Dragon Ball Super. I watched the Dragon Ball Super movies. I watched Dragon Ball Z Kai. And then I have watched Super Dragon Ball Heroes, which is a Japanese-only net-based show that has never been properly translated into English and is nothing more than 7-minute episodes that are a advert for a series of card and arcade machines that have never been released in this country. I've watched all of Dragon Ball and I don't regret a second of it, and it's been a fucking delight. Next year, if my car doesn't die, which it appears it's on the brink of, next year I'm going to try and read all of the manga as well, just to have like experienced every conceivable Dragon Ball Z, every conceivable Dragon Ball thing, because I've already played a lot of the games on emulation. Yeah, so it's so, with the exception of GT, which is pure garbage, and like Super Dragon Ball Heroes, which is just an advert for a gaming load, like the progression from Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z to Dragon Ball Super is remarkable, because fundamentally it still feels like the same show. It just refines its elements and perfects its elements to become what's the best way of putting it? Like, so the first one is the Journey to the West thing. So it's Goku is a little boy and he slowly grows and learns man's world and fights bigger and bigger foes, which ends up with the quote-unquote demon Piccolo, which is like the big bad, the big monster. And then the second season, the second show, Z, then just jumps straight over to going, okay, well, turns out he's actually an alien. And then the scope expands infinitely greater. It's all stuff from space and there's planets exploding and all shit like that. And then Dragon Ball Super is just like, okay, well, here's literally a god of destruction. So we're throwing gods into the mix now. And it ends, to date, it ends with a, like, I forget how long it is. It's something like 40 episodes of one giant tournament, as in all of the characters are in there fighting for 40 episodes. And it's still got all the character beats and all the humour, along with just constant fighting and constant bartering positions. And it's got betrayals, and it's got unexpected alliances, and it's got all of these, and it's like there's a big fan servicey bit where it brings characters who haven't been relevant in a long time and really pushes them to the fore. And if that is where Dragon Ball ends, and I know there's another movie out next year, which I'm very much looking forward to, but if that's the end of Dragon Ball as a series for now, then it's a hell of a note to go out on, because I don't know how they're going to top it. But yeah, my TV show of the year is every Dragon Ball TV show ever. Dragon Ball is fucking amazing and I love it.
Wow.
Nice.
You've inspired me. Next year I'm going to set myself a challenge to watch every episode of Firefly. I think I can do it.
Adam.
I want to give a shout out to a series that I'm not going to pick, purely because me and my wife are having an absolute blast watching it, as in extremely funny, even though I'm not entirely sure it's meant to be.
Oh.
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye's great.
Oh, that I've not
Yeah.
seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really great, and there's some real serious moments in it that for some reason make me and my wife laugh out quite hilariously.
Okay, so without spoiling the last episode,
Or any of the episodes.
what sort of thing are you talking about?
So there's a bit where the character I'll try not to spoil it. So there's a character played by Haley Steinfeld. Yeah, and she comes across a homeless dog with one eye.
Pizza dog.
And and he's gorgeous. He's absolutely lovely. And that bit was quite serious, quite sad in respects. But then in the very next bit, almost, she hands him a bit of pizza to feed him, and he absolutely loves it. And then goes on to call him Pizza. And it just made us laugh out loud. I
stepped on what you were
saying. I don't even know why.
That's actually a lot of that early stuff is adapted from the comic.
Oh, right, cool.
An excellent little run on the series, like the Bro Brigade, or whatever you want to call them, the Eastern Europe, generic Eastern European mob. Yeah, they're from it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. that name made us laugh out loud as well. The tracksuit gang. I love it. I'm sure bits of it are meant to be funny, but then there's other bits where it comes across as meant to be like half serious, half like comic book world, and I'm not entirely sure it's meant to be funny, but it just makes us laugh, and we love Marvel anyway, so
I mean,
it's great.
I think it's distilled. I think after the first couple of, Loki did the same thing. It's distilled what the movies do well, but I think it's a little less. What's the word I'm looking for? It's got a little bit more bite to it.
Yes. Yeah.
And maybe that's totally. Because there's more episodes, but the movies have become very, I find, frustratingly simplistic. And there's a lot more going on with, Loki. The bit of a spoiler here, but one episode has him basically trying to pull a different universe female version of himself. I should probably say themselves because it's conceptual, it's not got a gender. And then the end of the next episode is Richard E. Grant with a big old man podge, like wearing the original costume from the fucking comics. And I was like, oh, okay, finally these shows are fucking amazing. And Hawkeye has then jumped on top of that by balancing perfectly the sense of threat. It is balancing its characters so well, it allows the various characters to each have a distinct character rather than being one of the 5 archetypes that Marvel movies have. They feel more fleshed out, and it doesn't hurt that Haley Steinfeld and Florence Pugh are 2 of my favourite young actors or young actresses, whatever you call them.
Oh, definitely.
I love
definitely
seeing
Haley,
them both on screen. So the fact that there are a couple of scenes, I'm not mentioning character names, so I don't want to spoil it, but the fact there are a couple of scenes with them together is, oh my god, they play off each other better than I ever hoped they could, and I'm absolutely loving it. And Jeremy Renner is of course tasked with holding it all together, and he's doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, he really does. Really does.
Sorry, I took over a little bit there.
Go for it.
Sorry, I just wanted to mention
I know you're a comic book fan, so I was expecting.
And I wanted to mention those actresses because I'm a really big fan of both. I will actually, they're amongst the up and coming names that if they're on a poster, I will go see it. Actually, funnily enough, I never saw it in Zendaya until this year. I'd seen her in the Spider-Man movies. It was like, well, anyone could do that. And then I saw her in Dune and then the new Spider-Man almost back to back, and I'm like, this woman is a fucking mega star waiting to happen. If it's, I'm 40. I don't know about 25-year-old female, women actors. She probably already is a mega star. I just not in that catchment group to pick it up. But she's another one who really caught my attention this year. Of just has everything you need to be a massive movie star, and the 3 of them have the grace of it not being the 80s and the 90s anymore, so they're not going to be resolved to, they're not going to reach the age of 30 and their careers be over, or them have to start doing topless scenes and stuff like that. They can hopefully have big, long, very successful careers ahead of them, because that's what I see for all 3. I think they're all fantastic.
Oh yeah, for sure, and we love Hawkeye, and it's
everyone's least favorite Avenger.
I just think it really sets the information that the movies don't pull across about Hawkeye's background when he went into the character Ronan, and. I really like that fact.
I love that they're using that as a pivotal part of the thing, because it would be so easy to skip over that.
Yes,
And
yeah,
the
really
fact
would.
that they've got that at the core is really great.
Yeah, for sure. And they do a really good job of balancing that humour with telling an actual story as well.
Yeah.
But that isn't actually my
No.
TV series.
Do you know what? I had a feeling I know what this is going to be.
Oh, okay. I might surprise you. It's actually a very recent one. And so I'm a huge fantasy guy. I love all the fantasy stuff. If it's got magic, got warlocks. If it's got dwarves, elves.
It's rapidly
I'm
moving
all for it.
further from where I thought you were going.
I think
Yeah.
I know where he's going.
And it's called The Wheel of Time.
Ah.
And it stars Rosamund Price, Daniel Henney, and it bases around the lives of 5 young villagers when their lives basically change forever when a strange and powerful woman arrives, claiming one of them has an ancient prophecy. And it's got magic involved, it's got a little bit of romance involved as well, and in quite a funny, twisted way. It's got real dark sections to it as well, and even to the point of slavery, but kind of just touching on it, not but in like a real serious kind of way. And yeah, it's just that the whole show is really good. Definitely go watch it. It's currently showing on Amazon, I believe, and yeah, it's definitely a great show.
Well, I expected Squid Game to be in there. To the
Do you know what?
I actually was considering it, and I crossed it off this one. I know Adam will cover that.
I thought about it, I really did, but then this was a current series I'm watching, and I knew if I'd picked the obvious choice, this wouldn't have got a mention, and everyone knows about Squid Game, so I thought I'll give this
Fair.
the time of day.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Jason,
Oddly enough, Squid Game, I'd forgotten all about that, despite the massive amount of time we talked
Wow.
about it, until you said the tracksuit game when you were talking about something earlier, and I went, oh yeah, I've got a massive list of things I've watched on TV in front of me, and I thought, didn't even mention Squid Game, completely forgot about it. Did that happen? But yeah, I enjoyed Squid Game. Good game, good show, good thing. I'd advise everyone to watch it. However, that was not my choice. This was the year I watched The Witcher. I think I might have started that last year actually. I
Oh.
watched Superstore.
That
I
was
watched, went back and watched most of Seinfeld again, quite like binging it. I think this was the year I
nice.
watched all of
I
Parks and
just-
Recreation.
Sorry, not to barrel
No,
over you
it's
there,
fine.
but
Choose what you want.
funny enough, Mark and Alex have just started watching Seinfeld from the past, which has spurred me when I'm trying to watch mostly new things, but if I've got like 20 minutes, I'm like, I just can't be bothered with something new. I've also been watching all of Seinfeld again. Wonderful show.
I can't remember what it was.
Sorry, do
but
carry on.
No, with I remember the very first episode of Seinfeld. Was like, the very first 2 episodes. There's like several things in it which just don't exist today. There's like half the things are about things that we find with mobile phones or all technology that exists today. So it really dates it, but in a good way. Anyway, I enjoyed that. Parks and Recreation. I think I watched all of that from start to finish, pretty much. I went back. I caught up with BoJack Horseman, which I'd started but never finished, and then went back and watched the last 5 seasons of that. I think very good show. I've spoken about it before on this, so I won't carry on now. But yeah, that was. Go watch that. That's great. Watched the first half of the Masters Universe. Was it Revelations one? That was good.
Yep,
Haven't watched the second half yet.
the end of that's very good.
But the thing I'm going to choose, because I want to sound like I watch things more. This is the very first thing I watched in 2021, and it was The Queen's Gambit, which was a story of a poor American orphan in the 50s and 60s America who becomes a chess prodigy. And it's basically like a really classy sports film. It's like a coming-of-age story, and it touches on subjects of drug dependency and women's roles in society and class and what they can and can't do. But basically, it was just something I had heard about. It was talked about quite a lot towards the end of last year, and it's one of those things that I just sort of turned it on. I thought, I'll see what this is, and I think I watched the whole thing, almost start to finish, if not over a couple of days. Very well written, well acted, and the visuals, the whole cinematography was basically stunning all the way through. That's the thing. I think, if anything, it was too distracting with how beautiful some of the scenes are. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I hadn't thought about it since like January until now, when I'm thinking about what I liked, and that stuck in my mind as something that really stood out. And I thought, yeah, I might have another look at that. And I don't suppose they'll ever make a second season because it was like a full story in its own. But yeah, watch it. It's good. Like it.
Could they cover that? Is it based on a true story? Is it a completely
It's
fictional
based on a
thing?
book, which may or may not be on a true
That
story.
doesn't answer the question.
No, well, I don't know the answer, so I'm just padding. It's definitely based on a novel, on a It's not a real chess person, but it might be based on a real chess person. But certainly, they've changed names if they have. I think it's a fictional account of just someone growing up through the 50s and 60s as a young girl who's a bit of a wayward type, I suppose, and then just finds her love of chess, gets her through stuff, and she kind of becomes a superstar based on her chess things. And it probably was the reason when I went on holiday later in the year and I started playing chess. That's probably the thing that stuck in my head again. I've played chess before, but like I had a little thing on my tablet and I thought I'll give that a go. So it did apparently inspire lots of people to start playing chess. So there you go.
Yes. People are easily led.
They are easily led, and I'm one of those people. But generally speaking, a lot of people were talking about this. I'll see what it was, and I was glad I watched it. So, The Queen's Gambit. I saw it on Netflix, I think. So, yes.
Very nice.
And now what in earlier discussion with Adam may be a very, very short category, music. Jason, what have you been listening to?
Oh, you can't start with Adam and then go straight to me. Right. Well, I can tell you for a fact I have listened to less new songs than I've watched films this year. I don't think I have listened to a new song all year. I've listened to lots of old songs, but generally I don't. I'd like music, but it doesn't really feature in my life a lot. I think I said this last year, which is why I chose like a McFly video last year, which wasn't even a song as such. But I'm going to cheat a little bit, and my music choice for this year will be the Beatles film Get Back, which was recently released on Disney Plus and other sources.
It was a mini-series.
It's a 3-part special.
Yeah.
It's originally supposed to be one film. It's Peter Jackson. I'm not going to say. I suppose it's directed. I suppose it's put together. Basically, so basically back in 1969, they started. I think it's Paul McCartney had an idea to film them recording an album, and then sort of that was it. They thought we've done all the music stuff, we've done the albums, we want to go a bit more arty-farty. So he said, well, let's make a film that's doing the whole creative process. And they hadn't really performed together for a while. They'd done everything in the studio for years, like in bits and pieces, but this time they were going to sit down and do it. So they filmed it, and that became the album Let It Be, and also there was a film Let It Be, which I have never seen, but I have seen lots of clips, and from that you get an impression of how things were, and there was lots of tension and lots of anger and a bit crap. And then you watch this film and it's quite fun, and it gives a whole lot different perspective on that side of things. It's lots of larking about. You definitely get to see obviously it's directed and he's putting a certain filter on it from someone's point of view, so you can't fully trust it, but you do sort of think this is the Beatles as people, because definitely they know they're being filmed. It almost comes across like the first fly on the wall documentary kind of thing, or like an early Big Brother style thing. They're very aware they're being filmed, particularly at the beginning. They kind of pull away from that. There's definite bits where they're larking up for the microphones of the cameras and talking directly at the film and acting up for it. And there's other bits where they're definitely being themselves as such. And I think you do get to see them as people, and you get to see the creative process. You get to see songs being born. You get to see a hell of a lot of tea drinking and toast eating. You get things put in different perspective, like the whole rooftop concert, which in your sort of mind, if you know, I should clarify this. I grew up quite liking old songs and stuff. Although I now realise how actually I was born quite close to the end of the Beatles, whereas in my mind it was like ancient history when I was a child. But I grew up with, like, my mate's mum had taped all the Beatles, or at least all the early Beatles albums for me, so I used to listen to that. I went through college, and the anthology was out when I was at college. I made a film with my friends, as in I'll claim it now, The Weevils, which was like a kind of mockumentary of the Beatles, where I sort of played the George role. It's quite a heavily part of my life, and that is also one of the happiest projects I've ever done, was that whole art thing about making that basically diary of a band. And I did feel like I was in a band, and this was reliving that, and actually got in touch with my friend who was in that with me while I was watching it, talking about things, and it was like properly. So this touched me on a certain level of personal history. I wasn't in the Beatles, just to make it clear. I was never in the Beatles, but I was in the Weevils. But yeah, things like the whole rooftop concert, which you hear in history, is they were on the roof and they performed this album on the roof, and the police come up and they took them off of it. And then you watch this and it's like showing the entire thing in real time. And first of all, there's weeks ahead of them discussing where they can perform, if they're going to perform, whether they're going to perform. The whole thing falls apart. It gets back together. We're going to go to Greece. We're going to go to this place. We're going to get massive audiences over there to watch us. No one really wants to go. Ringo doesn't want to leave the country. George can't be asked of anything. Eventually they go, well, let's just do it on the roof then, a couple of days before they actually do it. These aren't major spoilers, by the way. And there's the whole thing about the police coming to get them. You sort of see in the show, the police spend like 40 odd minutes or quite a long time not even knowing they're on the roof. They're like trying to get into the studio to get them out of there. You've got the secretary trying to stop them getting in like really, I don't know where they are. No, I'm sorry. They're making a lot of, sorry, can we just, and the police are trying to get in, but trying to be polite. There's this very funny moment from my perspective, which is after these two police guys are trying to, if you don't know what I'm talking about, sorry, but yes, they're performing on the roof of this office building, and it's obviously playing out. It's the first time the Beatles performed live in years, and they're interviewing people outside, and some are liking it and some are not, and it's obviously they're getting complaints about the noise. So the police are trying to get them off the roof. They don't even know they're on the bloody roof, and there's this huge like inspector policeman comes along, proper 1960s, full black, almost cape, looks like Hitler. He looks like he's got a Hitler moustache. He looks evil. I'm sure I don't know if they actually did play this music, but it sounds like he's got his own fanfare as he comes in, and like an evil swooping thing. He comes in and he's the nicest bloke in the world. It's like, hello, my officer's here. It's like, he's wonderful. Anyway, the point being is, stupid stuff like, in your mind, they went up, they performed this album on the roof, and that's what they did on the roof. That's not what they did on the roof at all. They played like the same 3 songs 3 or 4 times until they got a good take. The police didn't drag them off the roof. But it's still fun and really interesting to watch. If you've got any interest in the Beatles or music at all, I would highly advise it. I mean, I can absolutely see if you don't like the Beatles, you're going to think it's an overlong fly on the wall thing about people who aren't very interesting. But it's basically watching, if you have any interest in the Beatles, it's watching the people you already like in person as humans, having fun and creating history. It's not my favourite album, but you know, it's a good laugh, and I watch it. I'm going to watch it again. I'm going to shut up now because that's the Beatles. It's called Get Back, by the way. Did I say what it's called? It's called Get Back.
Nice.
Jason,
yes.
2 thoughts. 1, a documentary TV series is not a music. 2,
yes.
Actually, there's 3 things. 2, it's nothing you've not heard before, so it doesn't fall under that
Absolutely.
category.
First of all,
and three.
yes.
Do you know what that sounded like to me? That like when you started with that really reminded me of that old Alan Partridge bit. It's like, oh, I like the Beatles. So, what's your favourite album? The Best of the Beatles.
That's a damn good album. And I think
Jason,
you'll find...
what's your favourite music? Oh, I don't know. What's your favourite new music of last year? What's your favourite album or song new of last year's? I would have to say all of the Beatles.
Right, I will take those points and I will give you, first of all, yes, it is a documentary, or it was perceived as a documentary. However, this is a visual creation of the making of
It's not fucking helping your thing that you're supposed to be giving us music.
It's music. What? You're
a
telling
song
me,
or an album.
You're telling me a historical document that fully embraces what the making of a incredibly famous album that is about music. It's all my favourite. Well, I'm sorry, what else did I watch?
Yeah, but it's not music.
Okay, then I listened to bloody Crazy Shark or whatever it's called again. How's that?
What? It's Crazy Shark.
That's me confusing Crazy Frog and that shark thing from the other year. What's the shark thing?
Oh, Baby Shark.
Baby Shark.
Do.
Exactly.
Oh, please don't sing that. My son sings that all the time.
Right.
It drives me mad.
Get Back is a Beatles film. It's definitely in the music category. And I think you'll find there's at least two Best of the Beatles albums. There's the blue one and the red one. And I prefer the blue one. But, whatever you want.
I'm
To be
not
fair,
sure
there's
which one.
music in it.
I'm not sure which one Partridge was specifically referencing. All right, well, I'm going to have a crack here, and I'm going to give a quick shout out. Right, I've already mentioned this once, but Christ, Hans Zimmer's score for Dune is incredible. Half of that is now on my phone. I immediately bought that. I've been playing a lot of Metroid. Guess what? All the music in Metroid is incredible. I've been listening to a hell of a lot of that, and have managed to record some of the music from that and put it on my phone. German, I think they're German, goth band Covenant. I've got really big back into. They released a new album a couple of years ago, and I hadn't got round to it. And I bought that and freaking loved it. So I filled in the gap of their albums that I didn't have. I think there was two after Sky Shaper. And I went back and listened to all of Covenant's albums, and that's been an incredible time. Really big fan of that. Covenant with a C, not Covenant with a K. Two different bands.
They're Swedish.
But similar musical genres, I believe. But I did find a new band this year, whose album I bought up and put over here so I can remember its name, and I've forgotten it.
The
so I need to
Beatles.
find the folder. The best of the Beatles. No, they are called Crew Lies, Creuxlies, with an album called The Hearth. It's from 2018, but I only found it this year. And basically, it sounds like, hey, you remember 80s Cure was fucking awesome? Let's do that. And it sounds like 80s Cure, and it's fucking awesome. I absolutely love them, and I love their album. They've got a new one. I've been following them on Bandcamp, and they've got a new one, I think, coming out early next year. Funny enough, one of my favourite bands, White Lies, released a new single a couple of weeks ago, and their new album's out next year. So neither of those are actually, eligible under this year. So, yeah. My new album, new thing I listened to this year that was my absolute favourite was Crew Lies, The Hearth, because it sounds like 80s Cure, which is awesome, and it's nice to find a new band, and it's nice to find a new band in a genre and a musical style that has been done so often badly. Like, You can point to almost any musical genre, and someone will come out in that genre, and there'll be a bit of a hit, and then you'll hear about 50 other bands that sound the same, and none of them are anywhere near as good. Now, I'm not saying these guys are as good or have the staying power as The Cure, but they don't sound like a naff Cure cover band. They sound like their own thing that are heavily inspired by The Cure from the 80s, like Disintegration kind of time, not Friday I'm in Love Cure. Proper Cure, but yeah, that's absolutely wonderful. So give that a listen, Adam. Because I don't expect either of you to have listened to any of the things I've listened to. Adam, what have you listened to?
Okay, so before I announce mine, you may understand a little bit more as to how far and wide my music tastes go.
It has come up in the podcast.
Yeah. So the album I found this year was Sugar and Joy, and it's 2019, and it is by a band called The Dead South.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and you may know them from In Hell I'll Be in Good Company.
Oh, I heard that a billion times, yeah.
Yeah, it was an absolutely fantastic song. And they are a folk bluegrass musical ensemble based in Regina, Canada. The band was initially formed in 2012, I believe. And the members are Nathaniel Hiltz, Scott Pringle, Colton Crawdaddy Crawford, and Denny Kenyon. There are some past members which I can't remember. I apologise to those.
Have they all got equally made up names?
Scott Pringle
None of
is
them
not
sound
made
like
up.
real names.
It's not Scott.
I get
the Pringle can. Once you can't stop
Crawdad is
Pringle.
probably a nickname, but none of those names sounded like real names.
Well, they're real people. I don't know if they're
These
real
are
names.
southern names.
I think one of them was Elisa.
From fucking Canada.
Yeah.
Southern Canada, possibly.
Yeah. But I found this band through a music video of In Hell Will Be in Good Company, because the the video is of them doing this very simple but very funny sort of dance, the two guys in the middle, and it's hilarious, and the tune is really good as well. And I thought, I wonder what the rest of the music's like, so I found Sugar and Joy, and all of the songs are, first of all, the names are hilarious, and their subject matter on most of their songs is quite dark. And most of it's about killing, or about little fat boys or people dying and stuff like that. It's but the music is really great, and it's based around the banjo. It's go listen to it. It's a lot of fun, and it's great to listen to. Yeah.
I approve. I used to watch a lot of their videos on YouTube, either this year or last year. Originally from the same video you watched, and then I watched that quite a lot, and I told other people about it.
Did you see the one? Did you see the one that they did in the cafe?
Probably, yeah. That sounds familiar.
So
is that the one that looks like it's made with his mum playing the woman in the cafe? And it looks like very sort of low.
Possibly.
It looks like the actors in it all seem to be like, they're just mates of ours, because none of them seem to be very good actors. But
Oh no, it's not that one. No, I know what one you're on about. No, it's not that one. So this one it was a very random event that happened. So they just happened to be in the cafe, and I think they went there purposely, but they got filmed doing In Hell Will Be in Good Company, and the dancing, the two guys dancing, basically all they do is they bend their legs in time with clicking their fingers, and they do it in two different ways, and it's hilarious to watch. And just before they start, they do this little dance with beer mugs and beers as they're drinking, and then playing one of their songs that pretty much made them famous. So it's hilarious. It just seems a very off the cuff moment, but I believe they did go there by purpose. So yeah, definitely go watch it. And listen to the album. They have 2 or 3 albums now, I believe. Illusion and Doubt, I believe, is another one. So yeah,
I've definitely had it on in the background while I've been doing stuff at some point this year. Yeah, again, another thing I've forgotten all about. I've also noticed I've remembered some films I've watched this year as well, but I'll leave that now. I'll get those next year. But yeah, Dead South. It's some music I did actually listen to this year. So there you go.
oh, there you go. Yes.
Books! Adam, go!
Okay, so my book is quite similar to last year's, actually, by the same author, Sarah J. Maas, but it's
You
her
read the same
other
book
series.
again?
No. She's got a
going.
couple of series, and this is the other series that she hadn't written one for quite some time. So she added a 4th book. Well, technically it's a 5th book, I think. But the other one was kind of like a short story. So this one is A Court of Silver Flames. and it's part of the A Court of Thorn and Roses series, based around a mortal called Faya, who gets captured by the enemy and basically imprisoned in their magical realm. It's all fantasy based. There's lots of fae involved and lots of other weird and wonderful nasty creatures, but this one is to do with her sister. I think it's her older sister, who's a bit hard around the edges. She doesn't really like to show much emotion, other than a rather strong anger for Faya. She accidentally got changed into one of the Fae in one of the last books, and it's about her dealing with the fact she's no longer mortal, that she's now immortal. And I'm halfway through it, and it's absolutely fantastic. Sarah J. Maas is a very, very good writer, especially of the fantasy genre, and you should definitely pick this series up. It's A Court of Thorn and Roses.
How many are in the series?
So technically 5.
So is this a completely separate series, or is this like a spin-off or a side series? Sorry.
This is a completely separate series to the other series of last year, which is a Throne of Glass. Throne of Glass? Yes, I believe. Yes, Throne of Glass series. So I just had to look at my shelf then. Yes, it's a Throne of Glass series. That was the other one. There's I think there's 7 or 8 books in that series. That series is now finished. But this series, there's 5 books. But as I say, number 4, I believe it's kind of like a short story to do with Faya's powers as a Fae. So at the end of the book 3, she sort of gets into her powers, and then this short story is a little bit more about her taking control of that and her new kingdom that she's kind of now got within the Fae world. I won't say much more because it will spoil it. But yeah, so this one follows on from that, and it's all to do with the sister, and I'm expecting another one to come out. It's kind of hinting at it, but to do with the other sister, which is the middle sister. So there's 3 sisters in it.
You got to do that, yeah.
Yeah, and they've all turned Fae, basically. Through means I will not tell you, because that will definitely spoil it.
Can I ask a question? I might be left out. What does turning Fae mean?
Sorry?
A fairy.
Fae?
I don't know.
The Fae is like the closest thing I could probably suggest, which you would know, is like I suppose Legolas from yeah.
Is he on Elf?
They're not. So they're not. The way she describes them, and the way she's done them, they're slightly different.
Okay.
These Fae, but they are based around the same thing as an elf, basically.
Okay.
But yeah,
I thought a Fae was a fairy.
Yeah, she's kind of blurred the line a little bit, if that makes sense, between the two. Yeah, and it's to a very effective degree.
So they were human, and now they're Fae. Is that right?
Yeah, the 3 sisters. The 3 sisters were human. They lived in the mortal realm.
Sounding suspiciously like vampirism here.
Yeah.
Is it Legolas but as a vampire?
Yeah, basically. If you look at the map, she's actually quite cleverly or lazily, depending on how you look at it, used the map of Britain and Ireland. And if you could imagine the south of
to be
England,
fair, that is a fantasy trope.
That's basically
yeah, but basically, if you imagine like London down, that is the mortal realm. That's where all the mortals live. From that line up, there's like a wall separating them. It's the immortal realm, and that's where all the immortals live. And there's, just to give you a hint, there's the night court, there's the day court, the dawn court, winter court, summer court, autumn court, and spring court. And that
Play a lot of
plays
tennis
heavily.
today.
yeah. That plays heavily into the story, and the realm is called Prothean, and there's Highburn, and then there's the other fairy realms to the west and east. So,
Do you know where the author's from? Like, is she Southerner?
I
Or is she Northerner?
do. Yes, I do. She is from Canada.
Oh, all right. That's thrown me completely. Fair enough.
Give me a split second. It's in one of the books. Hang on. Sarah J. Maas is the author of the New York Times bestselling Throne of Glass series. Blah blah blah. As blah blah blah. No, I was wrong. I apologise. That must be the other author I follow. She is a New York native.
Okay, but not
currently
New York, so
lives
that's
in Pennsylvania.
I didn't know she was just taking a poor view of Northerners or a poor view of the Southerners. I don't know, but that's fine.
No.
It would be Southerners if everyone's a fairy above the line above London, then everything above human is better in these things. Until you get to a certain point. When you get to trolls and orcs, I guess they're worse.
Yeah.
But they're all kind of reflections, aren't they?
Yes.
I feel like standing up for the trolls and orcs now.
Mate, if anyone's a troll, it's going to be you. I hate to say it. With your huge bulbous nose and you're 6 foot tall and you constantly climb around with a club and hiding under bridges trying to eat goats. You're definitely a troll.
A fact for you, the Fae actually appear in all of the series, along with other creatures as well, but the Fae is the common factor. And they all differ slightly within the series, different series. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm going to ask Jason, but based on his last pick, it might be like a t-shirt or something. Or a particularly nice bus. Jason, what's the favourite thing you read? And please be a book this time.
Well, I'm going to tell you something that will blow your mind. I haven't read a book this year.
Oh, it looks like it's going to be the description to one of our videos.
No, I didn't even think of that. That's a good idea. I didn't think of that.
Is that a poster? Did you read a poster?
You're really
Must have read something on Wikipedia.
Well, when I decided I hadn't read a book, I decided, well, I'm not going to try and make up something and say I've read a poster. Oh, yes, I've read Wikipedia. Yes, I've read Facebook. Yes, I've read, no entry signs and stuff like that. I've read pamphlets galore. Couldn't believe it. But I was just going to say that I haven't read anything and go with that and just say, but watching some of the shows I've seen based on books, I am quite determined to go back and read some old books that I've read in the past. Next year, possibly even this year, who knows? I got a bit interested again. I got revised interest in Terry Pratchett and Robert Rankin, who I used to read as a teenager. I'd be quite interested to know if I've still got the same take on them as I had at that point, because I'm a different person now. Hopefully, probably not. I think I'm about the same mentally. I am. So I think I'm going to give those another go. What this is a cop out, but just trying to say, I'm sorry, I haven't read a book. I've read stuff for work, but you don't want to hear about, the SOPs for work.
It's legitimately worse than your last pick. At least the last one was vaguely something around the subject of music. This is, my favourite book is no books.
No. It is both
your
future books
book
and past
reading
books.
The titles of shit on Netflix while choosing what to watch.
I love it.
I do read a lot of those. No, actually, I don't like those. Just a little tag. I don't like little synopsis on Netflix. I try and skip those. I don't like spoilers. If I'm about to watch something, I don't want to know what it's about. Particularly on the upcoming episode. That's the horriblest thing in the world. Don't say what's coming up in this episode.
Well, you just click next episode.
You got to be quick though. Sometimes it comes out and you go, and Bob realises his secret second wife has come back from the dead, and you go, I didn't even know she was dead.
I was wondering for a second there if you were watching
guest
Bob's
starring
Burgers,
this person who's not been in it for the last 4 years.
That shows a delight, but that would never happen.
Anyway, Yeah, so that is not the best book of the year by a long shot. I don't know. I'm just trying to get through this. I've taken some notes, and what I've written next to book is haven't.
Sounds a delightful book.
Wonderful.
Stay
right.
tuned for the rest of this. Sean, have you read anything?
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
read
what have you been reading?
shitloads. I've read shitloads. Obviously, my picks every year are going to be comics, as that's my favourite thing. So yeah, I'll give you best Batman book of the year. That was Batman the Imposter, which is set in its own little continuity of Batman's early years. There's a second murderous Batman going around. It's got some interesting takes on guys like Ratcatcher and the Ventriloquist. That was my favourite Batman book of the year. I also, like, my number one was between two things. And the second one, which is being adapted for TV, both of these are actually, because I think they're Image comics, so... No, one's Boom and one's Image. But there's Something is Killing the Children, which, to put it in its most basic form, is almost like a modern interpretation of Buffy. It's very much got those kind of vibes, and it's very much from that kind of thing. So it's about a young girl, and she's from this order which basically the conceit of the world is up to a certain age you can see monsters. That's why kids can see monsters in the dark and under their bed and stuff like that. Monsters do exist, but they're incredibly rare. But after a certain age, the adult brain just filters them out. Certain people can be trained to still see monsters past that age. And so your main character is one of those people. She's not that much older. She's like late teens, early 20s or something. But she descends on this little town because children start getting killed, basically. And yeah, through the whole first arc is the first three trade paperback collections, which is what I got, and I burned through them, and I'm immediately gripped by the world, the action, the style of dialogue, the pacing. The art is freaking phenomenal for a book about kids getting dismembered in gruesome and horrible and graphic ways. But no, it's got everything it needs to be something really, really special. And I think when it comes to TV, depending where it goes, if it gets the right team behind it, I think this could actually be a really, really big hit when it gets adapted. Just on a side note, for those who read comics, it is the thing that most reminds me of BPRD that I've read in a long time. I was a really big fan of BPRD. That was, you guys might have seen the Hellboy movies.
Yeah.
It's the organisation Hellboy works for. So that's the BPRD. But that comic was an amazing balance of humour, horror, gore, and just wonderfully interesting and likeable characters. And that's got that. But that's not my favourite thing, because one, I've only read 3 volumes of it and it's an ongoing. It's actually about to get a second spin-off comic. And 2, it wasn't Gideon Falls, which I have mentioned on the podcast once or twice, so I'll keep this relatively brief. This was a contained story by Jeff Lemire and Andre Sorrentino. Perhaps my favourite combination team in all of comics at the moment. And basically, they wrote this sci-fi horror universe time-spanning epic about 5 small characters and how they kind of take this insanity in their step, how they have to deal with it. And it goes from something really as simple as there's a murder in a small, tiny little village in the middle of nowhere, and the other part of it is following a character who is crazy and believes they're stitching together this barn that doesn't exist, and it ends up with like a multiverse and like this thing beyond all of it coming to try and consume all of reality. It is fucking incredible. It is wonderful character piece. I believe it's also being adapted for TV, though I'd put money we never see that. I bet that never comes to fruition. But yeah, my book of the year is the complete run of Gideon Falls. You can get it in trade paperbacks, 6 volumes. It is a freaking masterpiece, and Andre Sorrentino's art is absolutely goddamn stunning. Absolutely stunning. He actually did the art for Batman the Imposter as well, so I've kind of got a theme going there.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Jason,
Oh no, don't come to.
No, you're going to be all right with this one. You're going to like this one. This is food and/or food experience.
I don't eat. I haven't eaten anything all year. I have an answer. I hope he'll accept it. This year I went to Centre Parks, and at Centre Parks they have the
Centre Parks is not food! What's wrong with you?
I'm telling a story, I'm laying the scene, I'm plotting, I'm bringing you in.
Oh, sorry, I thought your food of the year was Centre Parks, I apologise.
I ate a small town. No.
Oh, you went with your family, didn't you?
I do go with my family. Anyway, while I was there, they
He
had
ate
the
his
House
family.
of Pancakes. I didn't eat my family, they still exist. I believe.
Is that
They,
like the chain House of Pancakes?
It probably is.
It's an American chain, right?
You want me to research these things? I don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry, I had a secondary question. I've
what's your
always
secondary
wanted
question?
to go to the House of Pancakes because I like pancakes.
Oh, do you mean like the international the IHOP? You mean that one?
Yeah.
I
sorry,
don't
that's
think
all
they are related, actually.
Okay.
No, but now I don't know. If you know, leave it in the comments, because I can't be asked to look it up.
Yeah, it's just I'm not going to book a weekend in Centre Parks to go get some pancakes.
Well, you shouldn't do, because they haven't got any. Right,
Oh.
here's the point. You go to Centre Parks.
Oh
you
god,
go
his
to-
favourite food was food he didn't have.
Exactly. Actually, no, I'm leading up to the food I enjoyed. Right, you go.
You'll get there in a minute.
I've been to Centre Parks
Fucking
before,
hell.
right? And at the Centre Parks I went to years ago, you could just like drop in at anything. You like do an activity, do this, do that. Because of the whole pandemic situation, you have to book everything way ahead of time. So we'd booked up House of Pancakes up way ahead of time. We get there, like the first or second day, and we've got breakfast at House of Pancakes. And you walk in, the first thing they say to you is like one of the people as you walk in says, "Sorry, we've got none of these, like the big main pancakes are on today. The oven's not working or something. We can't do it."
What the fuck?
You can have like little small pancakes, or you can have a waffle, or you can have like a stack of tiny things, but you can't have the big pancakes, like the ones that they properly advertise in all the pictures.
Yeah.
But okay, that's fine. Whatever, we'll have it. I had a big stack of pancakes. A small stack of pancakes. I'm not even sure I'm keen on pancakes anymore. That was a bit too much, really. I don't think I wanted a big one because I couldn't get through it. I was like, oh, I might have overdone it here. Anyway, so at least the pancakes I did eat are the ones I didn't have of the food, which is the best food of the year. And then, but anyway, a couple of days go past. We go back again to the not the International House of Pancakes. This is the very National House of Pancakes. They're just the Pancake House. It's called the Pancake House in Centre Parks. Not sponsored, clearly. We go back and they say again, "Oh yeah, sorry, the oven's broke.
If
We
it's
can't do the big
sponsored,
pancakes."
they want their fucking money back.
Anyway, I think we may have gone there 2 or 3 times. But anyway, they never had pancakes. And one of the times, we got this bit of a, not stroppy waitress, she was quite an honest, down-to-earth, clearly slightly overworked waitress, who just went, yeah, no, the oven's not going to be repaired for like 5 months.
Oh wow.
It's basically, she just let out this rant all in one go. Like, very nice to us. I think she's a very nice person, but she just sort of obviously has to say this every day. Yeah, today the oven's broken, we can't do it today. And obviously people don't usually go there more than once in a week and they're only there for a week. So who knows? Everyone just thinks, oh, it just wasn't there the day we went. No! She said they've got to get a new oven from Germany or something. It's going to take months. So every day she's working at the House of Pancakes, can't serve big pancakes. But
I'd have made a badge up by that point.
my
Sorry, no
favourite food.
pancakes.
Sorry, as someone who works in a pharmacy and has signs saying no lateral flow tests, and people lean around the lateral flow test signs to ask you if you have lateral flow tests, they do not work.
Yeah, that's fair.
It is true. my favourite food was the waffles, which I had on the last day in the House of Pancakes. They were gorgeous. I very strongly recommend the waffles. Have those waffles. They were gorgeous. Belgian waffles. Covered in chocolate. Triple chocolate, maybe.
I do like
It didn't even make me feel sick.
What did you have on it?
I think I had like a triple chocolate. I'll say surprise. It probably wasn't a surprise. It was on the menu. But it was triple chocolate something. Treat, we'll say. It was gorgeous.
Else other than chocolate.
Well, you can't have pancakes. You don't do them. Anyway, so that is yet a food that I did eat in a place which didn't do the food that they said they could do at a place which I didn't eat. Next!
Next.
Adam!
Okay, so as you may remember from last time, I like to dabble in the old cookbooks.
Oh, yes!
This time I've chosen a meal that I started learning how to do back in January. I feel I'm quite good at it now, but it's Jamie Oliver's grilled garlic mussels and sweet tomato soup.
Mussels?
And yeah,
Fancy.
and when I first tried it, it was alright. I put that mainly down to my cooking ability rather than the actual recipe of Jamie Oliver's. But now I've got quite good at it. It's delightful. It's absolutely delicious, especially the tomato soup. I've never tried tomato soup like this ever, and it's just the ingredients he tells you to use and the way he tells you to do it. It just makes for the sweetest tomato soup ever. It's gorgeous, and the grilled mussels have got like these little garlicky breadcrumbs all over it, and melted like little bits of cheese on, and absolutely lovely. Yeah, definitely try that one out.
Very nice. So is this something you try a dish and you do it say once a week until you master it, or do you do it once every month, or what? How do you kind of teach yourself and then get regular with the new recipes?
We do it in our household. We do it monthly. So every month we'll do a big, massive shop in one of the big supermarkets, and during that shop we will choose a dish out of one of the cookbooks to try, or if we like a particular recipe that we've chosen before, we will buy those ingredients again. And just so happened that this one we tried back in January, even though when I cooked it back in January I wasn't that competent at it at all, it still tasted alright, and we didn't get ill. So we said, alright, let's try that again and maybe I'll get a bit better. And slowly but surely I got better, and eventually we absolutely loved it. And so about once a month we have this dish now. So but in the new year we probably will try something new. So we have quite a lot of cookbooks now. Not all Jamie Oliver, despite what people may think because of last year. No, we have Gordon Ramsay. We like to try some of his every now and then. And many others. But Jamie Oliver is probably a favourite. So.
Are you still making the one you was talking about last year? Was it like an eggy waffle thing or something?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah, I do like to cook that for breakfast if we've got the ingredients. It's not that. I think there's only about 5. No, there's exactly 5 ingredients because it comes from his book of 5 ingredients. So
is this an actual book or is this off a website?
Yeah, an actual book. Jamie Oliver's 5 ingredients. Every single recipe in the book is 5 ingredients. It's absolutely perfect for someone like me who hates multitude of ingredients. When you've only got 5, it doesn't look that daunting at all, and it's like, oh, okay, no, I can do this. Yeah, I can do this. By no means am I a chef. I do not count myself a chef at all, but I do like to try and perfect what I've chosen out the book to a standard that I like. Yeah.
What I'm getting from this is next year, a cookbook and a meal. I can get 2 categories out of one thing. This is how you're doing this.
Yeah, you've got onto my secret.
Right, next year, that's it.
I recommend Jamie Oliver's 5 ingredients.
The secret ingredient is love.
No, it's not love if you saw the first time me doing it back in January. There's lots of swearing and chucking the book going on. Sean, what's your favourite
What's eating
food?
you?
I have a shout out and then my actual pick. I like to do a couple of things just to keep it, just to spread the love. I went. My friend Cormac recommended a place in Colchester. When I went to see him last, me, him, and another dude went to this place, and it's a pub called the Britannia, and it's got a Gurkha restaurant that goes in the back.
I've been there.
Nepalese food or whatever it is, and basically we went there, we sat down, and what they do is you don't have a menu. They will bring you 3-4 courses. You pay X amount a head.
Yeah.
So we go, we sit down, we get drinks. They're like, "Oh, do you want some poppadoms?" Yeah, we'll have that. So she brings us stack of goddamn poppadoms. We're like, "Okay, cool, thank you." Okay, whatever. She then brings back this huge plate with like these. Like, I don't particularly like onions. I've got an issue with the texture.
Yeah.
But I do like spring onions. And she brings out like this stack of onion bhajis that, my God, like when you put your knife and your fork in it and you cut through the outside and it's all crisp and it's all together, and then you look on the inside and this onion is incredibly finely sliced, so, and it's kind of caramelized together a little bit, but not enough that it's at all wet, but it's very moist. So like the crunch of the outside and then the moisture on the inside. Oh, it was absolutely delicious. And that came with these kind of spiced potato things. So we're sitting there going, I mean, this is great. And we can, certainly me and Cormac, Johnny I've not eaten with as much, but if Legend is to have it, we can all sit and eat. We can take a lot. So then she comes out and she's like, all right, so do you want some naan bread? Yeah. So 2 slices of this homemade naan bread each. Like 2 fucking great things of this naan bread each, and it's delicious. And she brings out a pork curry, which is like, you've been to an Indian or whatever, you know the curry dishes. She brings out one of them, pork curry, and then she brings one out of chicken, and then she brings one out of vegetable curry, and she brings out this fucking great thing of rice. And we're like sitting there going, oh my God, like we could have not had the last 2 courses and this would fill us up. And like, so we all had a bit of all of that. There was something else as well. There was 4 of these pots and then the big thing of rice. I can't remember what the 4th one was. It might have been another curry. There might have been the 3rd meat with curry. So we had all of that and we're like sitting there going, oh my God, this is amazing. We're absolutely stuffed. And she goes, yeah, so can I bring you a load more of that? We're like, what? It's like, yeah, do you want another pot of rice and a couple more of these coats? Like, oh my God, no, we're absolutely stuffed. This is amazing. And it's like, okay, not a problem. And then she comes back with dessert. And that was far more sensible. It was like a super compacted sweet rice thing. And it's about the size of your fist. And it came in like just enough cream that you'd have a bit on each bite, but there wouldn't be a lot left over and you would be kind of like licking out the bowl. And like my buddy Cormac had a beer because he was the one of us not driving. And he's like, I shouldn't have that beer. It's just like absolutely stuffy. So he didn't have his dessert. We were just sitting there going, oh my gosh. It's like, all right, do you want any more? We're like, no, you'll kill us. Please, for the love of God. And I think it worked out, like before chucking a tip on there, it worked out at something like 17 quid each. And it was absolutely insane.
Wow.
So yeah, I cannot. And like, everyone was lovely. The hospitality was great. They were, they were never hovering, but they were always there when you need it. So it was timed to perfection. And they had a lot of people in there. Like, this place was real busy. So they're obviously very used to it. So that's the Britannia and Gurkha restaurant and bar in Colchester. I would highly recommend that. But that's not my...
Oh.
You've
That's
already
not my
got me
pick for the year.
Food. You described that so well. It's like Nigella talking
Oh, it's
about food.
freaking amazing.
It was lovely.
But-
I think everyone's going to go and get food now.
Oh, yeah, everyone should go get food. But purely because... And by the way, all of that food was delicious, by the way. It was... Not a single one of it was either slightly cold or slightly all of it was fantastic. But I finally went to Sakura in Berry, which is the Japanese restaurant, which I've been meaning to go to for several years. And I had rice and a katsu curry, and it is with pork, and it is one of the single best things I've ever tasted. Like, you know, when me and my friend are currently going around Suffolk trying every curry house we can. So it's like, you know, when you've eaten a curry which was largely have the same ingredients but just be of a higher quality.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I think about that. It wasn't like, it's a pork curry with rice. There's nothing katsu curry, you know. There's nothing inherently unique about it. But dear God, did they perfect everything about the way they made it to ascend it to another level. It was absolutely unbelievable. Like, and I just had the one plate. I didn't have a starter or anything, and I was absolutely stuffed because I was going to get a dessert. I was absolutely stuffed by it. But it was one of those points where I was like sitting there going, I want to order another one just to sit and kind of pick at it. Even though there's no possible way I could eat more of it because I am stuffed. I just want to be eating more of it for the freaking sake of eating more of it. Because it was so nice. It was absolutely astounding. And I've had that kind of curry many, many places. You know, it's the style of curry you'd get at a Chinese or something. You know, it's from a similar kind of base. But Jesus Christ, this was something really special. Just in the way that it was put together and presented and everything. So, yeah, I guess those are my two, but if I had to say one, it's the Sakura and Berry. It's just out of this goddamn world.
I've thought of a food.
Should we let him do it, Adam, or should we just say no? His time is
I
fast.
don't know, because you know, he picked the pancakes and then he picked the waffles.
Yeah, he picked the pancakes he didn't have.
Yeah. Hang on, this is a review of the year. It's not the best of. It's just an food experience. That was an experience of not having the food that it said I could have. Anyway, I would just put a shout out to the black pudding Scotch eggs at the Wagon and Horses in Sudbury, Suffolk. I've had them twice. They're lovely.
Ooh.
They are.
I'm not really a fan of black pudding, but
Well,
I
I'm
do
not.
fucking love a Scotch egg.
I'm not a fan of black pudding either.
But as nice starter as it was, both times I've had it, I was like, oh, that was lovely. And that's the review you want from food, I think.
Yeah.
So sorry, I have eaten some food. There you go. Thumbs up.
Bonus round. Okay, Adam, we're going to you next.
Cool.
Activity. Last year this was obviously lockdown activity, and
Yep.
this year there's been significantly less lockdown. So, what's been your favourite activity?
So, as you say, lockdown is a lot less, but when you go places now, lockdown is sort of still in effect. So, we all took the kids to Colchester Zoo, which is funny enough when we drove past that Britannia. So when you mentioned the name, I was like, Oh, I know that.
Oh, mate, then yeah, take the family in there.
Yeah, like we said, oh, that looks nice. Well, I should try that. So
it's
no, we
incredible.
definitely will. Yeah.
You got a book.
Right. Well, yeah. So this is pretty much very similar. So, as in, you got a book. You have timed slots, which I've never done in a zoo before. And to be honest, it was quite.
Oh,
a pleasant
between
experience.
exhibits.
Yeah. Well, to actually turn up at the zoo. You have a timed slot to turn up at the zoo.
Right.
Which is very confusing. And then there's certain restaurants within the zoo where you have to book a time to eat in the restaurant. There's a lot of fast food places where you can just rock up. But if you want an actual sit-down meal, and when you've got kids, it's probably pretty much a given.
So I'm seeing it from the animals' point of view. It's now the animals have got this time show of what time you're arriving to eat your food, like they do.
Yeah. Yeah, right. And to be honest, it was quite pleasant. It wasn't. So when you normally go to zoo, or how I remember going to the zoo, is you go to the zoo and the front entrance is always absolutely rammed, and then there's certain exhibits that are absolutely chock-a-block, and you can't get a viewing, and you can't see like the penguins doing their thing and the sea lions doing their thing. They're always packed. Whereas this time, because it was timed slots, we saw it all. Like, there wasn't any argy-bargy, there wasn't like, oh, I can't see over this person's head. It was busy, but there was plenty of room. And because of the time slots, it actually made it a much more pleasant experience. So, yeah, it actually works out for the better, in my opinion. Again, with the food, we turned up at a time, we got in, we sat down, had a meal, left, no waiting. Great! Loved it. The only downside to it is because of the time slots. When you want to go see certain animals, if your time slot to get into the zoo is slightly later, you might have missed like the feeding. Like they feed the lions at a certain time, so you might have missed that. So by the time we got there, they were all like sleeping and hiding under like rocks and stuff. So couldn't really see them all that much, which, you know, they're animals at the end of the day. They, you know, you can't say perform for me. No, so that was the only downside. But no, it's very enjoyable. The kids absolutely loved it, and we come away with massive smiles on our faces. So yeah, very good.
Beautiful.
Jason, I'm going to let you go next. Doesn't mean I've gone last a couple of times, but I'll go first next time to shake it up.
Good. Right. Well, one of them involves you anyway. So one of the things this year.
Well, that's kind of why I wanted you to go first. I've got backups.
Well, this is only my first thing. Was me and you? We went up Snowdon briefly.
Did?
Not briefly. It took a day or whatever. But it was that was a nice little trip. You said to me, not like on the morning, but you said to me a little bit before, saying, "Do you want to climb Snowdon?" And I went, "Yeah." And then didn't think about it until pretty much the day we went. And that was fun. Because they're a bit fitter than me. You go running and stuff. And I had a really nice day out. It was a wonderful view. Quite foggy up top, obviously. But no, a great day out. And climbing this mountain. Sort of. Big hill. It's more like a slightly inclined walk, wasn't it? But my legs started giving up probably about a third of the way up. And I could tell you were getting a bit angry with me around that point, and then we sort of calmed down a bit.
No, I wasn't getting angry. I was getting concerned.
You sounded like you were getting fucked off.
No.
No, but as we kept going, it seemed to get better. And then as I realised that when it was flat, I was fine. It was only when it was like angled, and I thought I'll be fine on the way down. No, it wasn't better on the way down. It was just as bad. If it was. Yes, but I'm glad I did it, and that's the main thing. Looking back on it, I've achieved something.
Was there multiple routes? I've heard there's multiple routes.
I think there are. I'm fairly sure we took the easy one.
There are a bunch
without not
of
getting the
routes.
train, that would have been easier probably.
Yeah. Yeah, we went for the gentlest route.
Yes. But for me, that was a nice couple of days out. Yeah, good. Went to Wales, which apparently I have been to before, but I didn't think I had at the time. So that was also going to be crossed off my list of... I've now done all the bits of the United Kingdom. However, I've been there before apparently because of my parents, so what are you going to do?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go to Ireland next year because I've never been to Ireland.
I've never been either.
Beat you. And then the other thing I did this year was mouse hunting, which is... it took over my life for about 2 weeks, just hunting mice in my house. From the point of being told someone's seen a small mouse, it evolved into, where did you see it? I don't believe you. Are there any mice? I haven't seen any mice yet. Then hearing noises and then looking at the corner of your eye and twitching, and every little sound, every little motion, every little shadow, you think that's a mouse. You go out and buy all the traps. You get the nice humane ones because you're going to be nice to them, and then that means you end up having to drive them out into the country for hours to get rid of them, and then you get the like snappy traps because you can't be asked anymore, and then you sort of got traps all over the... No, to be fair, I got traps all over the house. I caught more ones alive and then released them into the world than I did finding them dead, and eventually I think they just got fed up in my house and said it's too cold and went somewhere else. But I think it's... they don't seem to be back. But I've still got that little... Every time I hear any scratching, any noise, anything, even if it's someone in like 3 houses down using a chainsaw, I think, is that a mice? Is that a mouse? Is that a mouse? What's that? Yeah, that took over my life and my brain, and I was dreaming about them. And you do not read Google how to deal with mice just before you go to sleep, because you will not go to sleep. Because it's just people saying, "Oh no, I woke up with one on my face."
Oh.
So yeah, lots of fun with mice this year, and I did have little trips out to the country with them and released them nicely. Most of the
I can't help with mice, but Jasper Carrot gave me a comprehensive lesson on how to deal with a mole.
Oh, I remember those videos well. Yes. So that's what happened to me this year, and I was...
So, under your best experiences, going to Wales and going up a mountain with one of your closest friends, and attack of mice.
When you were devising these categories, I swear you didn't use the word best.
The whole point is it's best everything.
No, it's review
That's the
of
point
the
of it.
year. Review of the year. In fact, the category I wrote down was something you did. That's my title for this category. Got a new fridge magnet. Hey. I lie. I didn't really get a new fridge magnet. What do you think I am? Sure.
If you did, you wouldn't have got one with fucking words on it because you can't read anything. I'm surprised you didn't put the House of Pancakes menu.
How do you know I didn't read it? That's all I read all year is the House of Pancakes menu. As magneted to... Oh, I can't speak today. Carry on with your thing, Sean. Why are you going last? What are you saving us for?
Oh, well, Snowden was going to be mine if you didn't pick it, but you picked it, so...
I barely
going to
covered it.
skip
You
over
tell your
that.
side of the story. Dragging some troll up
My
a
side
hill.
of the story's largely the same as yours. I thoroughly enjoyed mooching up it with you. I did not enjoy the bit at the top because I'm fucking terrified of heights.
That's the bit I like
We come back
best.
down again.
That's my favourite bit.
That's where the views are best, but it's also where there's just blind panicking terror for me.
Which did make me feel good
But,
because I felt like I was being a massive letdown all the way up. And then you had a little wobble and I was like, I've come into my own now. I can be nice to you. And then I had to ache all the way down again. Oh.
I was really worried at one point that you'd torn a tendon or something because there was a chunk of coming down where you did not look like
it
you were.
was
You looked
hurting
like
me.
you were in incredible pain.
Any time my foot had to bend in an incline, it was a case of I'm in very bad pain. But I'm going.
Yeah.
I had to keep stopping and sort of adjusting my wobble and walk and going sideways and backwards to see if it worked, and sitting down and sort of hello to every person who walks past me. Oh, that's the other thing about bloody Snowdon. You feel like you're making some achievement going up this mountain. It's called a mountain, and then some family with little kids and a dog strolls up next to you, And it's just like,
Yeah, like it's nothing.
yeah. And you've got
Or
joggers
the
running up and
fucker's
down
running
all day.
it.
Yeah.
The fucker's running it.
Awesome. Yeah, I thought I was doing good stuff, but no. There's a guy who works up the top of the gift shop all day long. Goes to the pub for his lunch, goes back up again.
Well, as usual, I've done quite a lot this year. I try to do something special once a month. We've covered going to Retro Replay, the arcade I went to, or make Stag do. I saw Jack D live. I've been doing a Japanese course because my personal schooling had halted, and I've been loving that. But with Snowden to one side, I'm going to say the War of the Worlds interactive experience is my favourite thing I did this year. I decided to take my sister for her birthday. Our birthdays are 3 days apart, so it's kind of for myself as well. But she loves the War of the World. It's based around the Jeff Wayne musical, but it's a bit like that Alien War thing we did, but with VR and shit as well.
Yeah.
Me and Jason, just to give some context, me and Jason went up for my buddy Mark's stag do, we went up to Scotland because they had a thing called Alien War, which is based in the Aliens universe, and you walk around a little guided story and aliens attack you and stuff. It's fucking awesome. So the War of the Worlds thing is a bit like that. So you start going into this room with a bloke in a fancy costume and stuff, and he's kind of your starting host. You're like, okay, that's fine. Then he leads you through this little corridor, and voiceover to War of the Worlds is going in the background. You're like, okay. And then they've got like a walled off bit of the park where the alien has first landed. I think you go to observatory first. Yeah, you go to an observatory first. You get to look through the telescopes and you see the flash and the things coming from Mars towards Earth. And then you go down to the common and there's like this big walled off area of park, and there's the big cylinder in the background, and it plays the song from where it's when the aliens are murdering everyone in the park, and there are actors going, they fall over, and there's fire, and there's like flashing lights and all sorts of stuff. That's cool. And then you kind of go through like these army barracks, and you've got to crawl and go through there, and it all wobbles and everything. You climb through all of that, and you hide then you climb into a house, and you go through someone's house, and like there's a bit where the lights go out and they kind of creep around, and there you've got like the tentacle inside the house, and it's people walking around very, very quietly, but they brush you with mechanical feeling tentacle things. And then you go into like Forever Autumn through Thunderchild. You go and you're gonna try and get away on these boats, get in this boat, and they put a headset on, and that's rocking around while you're watching this CGI as you're going down the Thames with the Martians striding over you, and then you see the boat with the woman on it, and then like Thunderchild comes up, and you in the middle of that whole battle. And then you get out of that, and there's loads of other bits like that. There's like a little like mini planetarium bit where it's all on the ceiling. It's all psychedelic and crazy. And you crawl through a couple of other locations. Yes, and then even right up to the end when it's when all the aliens have died. Like at that point, you get into these like hot air balloon kind of metal cages. And then you put the VR headset on once again, and it like flies you over London, and you see the devastation and stuff. And it really was fantastic. It was really something special. I was a bit worried the first time I was going to get a bit motion sick, but you get used to it really quickly. And I think it was like 60 quid a head for. It was quite long. It was like an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. But it was absolutely fantastic, and I would it was more than worth the money. I'd have paid a lot more if I'd known what it was, and hopefully I'll get to go again at some point and it'll be worth even more. However, there is now a Batman themed restaurant in London which is 200 quid, and next year there's like an equal immersive experience about Arkham Asylum, so I'll probably do them next because, you know, Batman. But the Jeff Wayne's War of the World interactive experience is my activity of the year. It was fucking brilliant. It's worth every penny. go do it, especially if you're a fan of the original album.
That sounds spectacular. I did not
Oh,
know
it's freaking awesome.
It was like that. I imagined you at best it was like some sort of like a Rocky Horror show where you'd go and it's like audience participation and you're just sort of standing there and there's a thing in front of you. I never realised it was like the whole thing, like the alien thing we did. And it sounds like it was even more than that. So yeah, it sounds fantastic.
Oh, it's way more than that. It was absolutely superb.
Wow.
Yeah, never done anything quite like it. Would love to do it again.
What's the Batman restaurant called? Just out of interest.
Park Row.
Oh.
It's actually like a small series of restaurants, and there's a bar and stuff. But there's one that does a big interactive thing, which is like a 9-course meal or something. That's the thing that's 200 quid. That's what I want to do. But they plan to open a whole thing around it. It's going to be quite awesome when it's done. If they don't close down first through, it's a really fucking niche thing.
I realise this is going off the subject, but is Park Row a reference to something in Batman?
Yes, the alley. It's the actual name of Crime Alley, the place where Bruce's parents were shot.
Oh, yeah. I thought
Actually called Park Row.
It's not actually called Crime Alley?
No. Funny enough, no, it isn't.
Oh, fair enough.
But they've got they plan to do have an iceberg lounge, which is the Penguins Casino.
Well,
and,
yeah, that's the sort of name I thought they'd
all
go
this
with.
stuff. It's it's like they've got a whole load of things mapped out, which I'm guessing is going to be on various floors. But yeah, I've been watching like the early reviews and stuff. It all looks really, really cool, but it doesn't quite look 200 quid's worth of cool and go on your own yet. If I had someone coming with me, I'd throw the 200 quid down, not a problem, and do it. But I really want to spend that money and go do it on my own. That's then a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but no, it looks awesome. And then the Arkham Asylum thing, we don't know much about that yet, but it's going to be an interactive horror thing based in Arkham. So I'll go do that next year. That'll be fucking awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, I love things like this because I already liked Secret Cinema because that does a similar thing. It immerses you into the thing you're enjoying. And I quite like doing the 4DX, which is like a big IMAX-y screen, but the chairs move and they kind of heats up and cools down. It shoots air at you and little bits of water and stuff while you're watching a movie. Yeah, way of the future. Even though I'm still quite an old man, so I'm like, I'd rather just sit in a fucking seat and watch a movie. But, yeah. Super fun. Okay, now on to bringing it down a bit.
Oh.
Disappointment of the year. And I've said I'm going to go first, so I guess I've got to go first. So, mine's quite an easy one because... it's been quite a positive year with lots of positive things to talk about. But a week before my MOT, my car just went, ha, fuck you, and picked up a fault.
Oh.
And I've currently thrown £250 at it, and I don't know what the problem is. Yeah,
Oh, you still don't know.
yeah. I made it rain. I assumed that would solve the problem. No, I've taken it to 2 different garages. One of the guys who from the second garage, he said it's not throwing up an engine fault. If it is cutting out, because he literally sounded like he doubted it was doing it. He's like, if it shuts off for any reason, it would throw up an engine fault, and there's no engine faults. So it's doing a thing that apparently can't even happen. That's how frustratingly fucked it is. So, yeah, that's a fucking kick up because I don't want to buy a new car right now. And it's looking like I might have to. So I've got my work have been very cool about it. They've let me borrow the works car, so I've got a couple of weeks over Christmas to tinker around with it and maybe make other arrangements. But yeah, that's my disappointment of the year. My car just going, fuck you, I'm done now. What a dick. Jason.
Yes. With this, obviously, best of my disappointment for this year, I would say it's going to be. I don't know, it's Doctor Who. I would say.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm telling you something. I'm giving you information from my own
Flux
brain.
didn't win you over.
The Flux. Well, this is why it's a disappointment. It did win me over, and first of all, I'm not particularly. Let me. That's why it's a disappointment. It won me over, and then it didn't. Then it disappointed, is what I'm going to say. So I had high hopes. I'll do a very quick preamble. So, me and Sean and various others watched from the beginning Doctor Who a while ago. We never got all the way through it. We sort of got about half to 2/3 of the way through Tom Baker, but all the way from the beginning. So we're fairly up to date. Well, up to date. We're fairly fluent in what is Doctor Who and its changes over time. I think we all agree it's had its good moments, it's had its bad moments. I don't think any of us think it's absolutely the most amazing thing ever, but it has some very, very good moments, and it also has some awful moments throughout its entire history. And I am not particularly bothered by it at all. I don't hate this season, by the way, but it has had a lot of flack. It's coming into sort of the last run of the Jodie Whittaker bit, which I like her as a person, as an actress. I think she's fine in the role generally. I just don't think she's had all the greatest moments. It is a shame that she's the first woman to do it, and she's still getting a lot of backlash for it. And I thought from the first couple of episodes this season of The Flux that this might be the one that goes, yes, that's it, that's what she'll be remembered for. And then I just don't think the season really paid off very well. I think there's some great set pieces in there, there's some wonderful ideas. The visuals are amazing in many places, but I just don't think the story carries through. I don't think it comes together at the end. I think a lot of setup doesn't go anywhere. I do understand that there's only 6 episodes, and I think they originally thought they had, well, probably they originally thought they had like 13, and then it became 8, and then it became 6. And I believe they'd already started filming and done some filming when it went to 6. So I do understand that it might be a bit of a hash, but I think there's so many loose ends there, or loose ends that are quickly sort of tied up or not even mentioned again. That
Yeah, but don't forget he's got 3 more episodes.
I don't
So
care.
some of those things are going to filter through into the...
Yeah, but it has to still play a part. See, that's why I like the first episode. The first episode, there was a lot of people complaining about the first episode, and I have no issues with that first episode at all, because it was a lot of setup and a lot of mystery and a lot of here's stuff that is going somewhere. And the second episode was kind of a self-contained story that still carried on through part of that, and that was a great episode, I thought. And then the third episode, none of them are awful. I'm not saying that. That's why I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. It just didn't pay off. It's set up. You've got this whole Grand Serpent character, didn't really do anything. You've got the Kate Stewart. She's there, but she doesn't really do much. You've got the couple are searching.
She's integral.
You've got the couple who are searching for each other. They don't really do anything. You could have had basically one character that could have done all these parts. There's lots of. Now I do understand that
It's a parallel to Love Will Out. Rather than the Doctor just saying, I believe in love and hope, they're literally showing you.
I don't need that. I'm fine.
I think with all of Chris Chibnall's stuff, it has been poorly received for being deeper and not spelling shit out that he's been doing. Because I've been a fan of all of it. Especially that last season before Flux with the other Doctor. And that, dear God, that Master was awesome. And then I thought Flux was him toning it down, dumbing it down a bit, while still doing a ridiculous, over-the-top and awesome thing. So you're like, okay, fine, I'll do fucking normal Doctor Who for you lot. You didn't even like that.
It reminded me, a lot of bits of it, certainly the way it came out, is reminded me of 80s Doctor Who. And I'm not a big fan of 80s Doctor Who. Just the way some things are set out and paced, and I didn't like it. I'm sorry. So what I'm saying is, I like...
You don't apologise to me, you apologise to Jodie. She's been a fine Doctor.
I am fine with Jodie Whittaker. I think she's great. I have no issue with her Doctor at all as a character, or certainly not any more than any other Doctor. I think from every Doctor Who, I have generally felt I love their Doctor. Their Doctor is a great character, and then I try and think of an individual storyline or plot point or something that made me that, and they're few and far between quite often. It's like, well, yeah, but that character, nearly every Doctor Who is like, well, that Doctor was great, but they were poorly written for. You could say I didn't have the best stories. Well, that season was very good, but the Doctor, that was a great Doctor. I still feel that about hers.
Yeah.
I think she can do great things.
I have that so strongly with Peter Capaldi. It's like he's got like 4 episodes which show him as this unbelievable talent and what his run as the Doctor could have been.
Yep.
and they just did midlife crisis Doctor. I'm like, this is awful. Like, I'm cringing with embarrassment, and I know that's kind of the joke.
Didn't like the guitar,
But
and
still.
the sunglasses, and
Yeah.
okay.
It's like, give me more episodes like him trapped in one giant mansion and punching a wall, and then he dies and it reset. Oh, that was probably the best Doctor Who of all time. And then, yeah, there's the episodes where he's got the guitar and he's got the sunglasses. I'm like, I just want to crawl into a hole and die of embarrassment for watching this.
Well, that's it. So the point of view I'm giving this from is I only watched it each episode once on the day they came out, so as a weekly format. So I may go back and have a completely different view on this. I do understand Chris Chibnall has actually released an explanation as to what was actually happening, and I haven't watched that. Or so for the dumbed down audience, maybe. I don't think that's necessary. I had some issues with some, and I think we discussed this before. I really like Stephen Moffat, and I felt some of his things were a problem, but I just do not think the narrative structure.
I really like the first half of his run.
Chibnall's, I think at least he tied up things a bit better, and they seem to go somewhere. Or maybe it's just I had higher expectations at the beginning, and maybe that's the problem. Things didn't pay off the way I wanted them to, or thought they were going to. And I just think there's far too many characters and stuff going on that didn't really resolve itself, or wasn't neat enough for me.
I say the first season. The first season is fantastic, but it is a season where the Doctor is a secondary character. So like the whole first season is like the big stages of grief thing, and it's all about the new characters coming into the Doctor's world. It's basically, rather than having a bland fucking nothing like Clara, who's just happy all the time and we're going on an adventure even though it turns out really bad, this was like a bunch of real people who start with a death and they don't know each other, and then this weird situation, and they're like, oh my god, the entire universe is open to us. How would an actual person react to that? And they did a beautiful job. And I think that probably should have been his second season. I think he should have maybe been a bit more traditional with the first lot. But he wanted to go in with a bang. And his second fucking lot was fucking awesome. And I thought this lot was awesome as well. I like the Doctor. Like, the Doctor's threats are always conceptual. Because I know you'll say, oh, the Daleks and the Cybermen are a physical force. But she never fights them. She has to outwit them.
Yeah.
That's what the Doctor has always done. So just taking that and making it on a grander scale of, these are the concepts, these are the literal embodiments of concepts of the universe prior to ours.
Yes.
And they're fighting for the concept of what our reality will be and the reality after, once this one has been destroyed. Oh, that's beautiful. I'm well into that bollocks. That is literally the same as the Cybermen. The Cybermen is just, we want all life to be this. You don't want all life to be this. This was just a massive upscaling of that very core concept. And I fucking loved it. We're never going to get anything like this again, and I'm really sad by that. I look forward to Russell T Davies returning, and I really hope he's learned a lot in the decade he's been away, because I enjoyed half of his first run. It was quite exciting at the time, but Stephen Moffat went and basically went, I can do this for adults as well. Oh, this is actually really good. So I'm really not... Like, this screams of the BBC running backwards, and the next Doctor is going to be a... probably mid-30s to late 40s white man, and everything will be reset, and let the status quo return. There's my one problem with Jodie Foster. Jodie Whittaker.
Yeah.
Her Doctor. I legitimately think BBC had notes at the first that said, right, we're doing this big thing of the Doctor. Can you please just do David Tennant for the first season? That was my problem with her portrayal, and I very much believe that was a studio note, because they didn't have the faith to just say, oh, fuck all these people who have a problem that the Doctor is now a woman. It's ridiculous. Why is there suddenly a problem? Like, you're fine with your space alien who can regenerate into other people as long as it's fucking white men. Is that it? Is that where you draw the line? A pair of boobs? Fucking ridiculous. Sorry, I've got on a tirade where this is supposed to be your
No, that's fine.
disappointment of the year. I apologise.
That's fine. So
I've really liked this lot of Doctor Who, and I really feel the weird need to defend it.
Well, I'm glad you liked it, and I liked a lot of it and elements of it, which is why it's a disappointment for me, because I don't think it came together. And as when we used to watch the old style ones, because it's like the first serialised story for a long time, I would say. It's not like just like a two-parter. This is like the old style we used to watch in our little Sunday get-togethers. And even back in those days, we used to have like part 1 and 2. You wouldn't really know what the overall plot was. It was like, oh, this is a mystery. And I always just say then, so far, this is great. It just needs to tie itself together at the end. And I don't think it did it well enough for me. I'm not saying it has to be a neat bundle and everything's explained. I'm happy with mystery. I'm happy with things. I felt the bits that were explained were just not to my satisfaction. And some of it just wasn't. Some of it was just skipped over. Now, maybe that'll be explained later, but I think for an individual 6-part story, it didn't do it for me completely. Hopefully, I'll enjoy the next specials. But I do hope for the future. I would want, and I've only just thought about this while you've been talking, is I hope the next Doctor is still a woman, and I hope she's like a woman in her late 40s, 50s, who's got like quite a strong character of her own, and we just follow her through for a bit, and then after that we can go back to men or women or whatever, and just we know it can be anything, and that's it. But I think we need another good shot at this, because that's my other main disappointment is if we are going to look back on this, and it's not just this year obviously, but we're going to look back on this Doctor as the woman Doctor, and it's seen as the worst or whatever, then that's not a good thing, because it's certainly not. That's not the reason there's a problem, I don't think. So that's my disappointment.
No, I agree. In fact, my one problem with them casting Jodie Whittaker is that this stage it was so close to Missy that it felt contrived a little bit. It's kind of like, we brought in Missy as the woman master.
Yeah.
Now we're just doing that with the Doctor straight after. But I suppose you could argue like there's a nice tie into that, because when I forget his name. Well, back when the Master was first introduced with the new series, he was an aging white actor, and he took a cue from David Tennant, basically saying, I can be young and vital this time.
Oh yeah.
So he took his appearance based as a reflection of Tennant. So the idea that maybe after Capaldi's Doctor spent so much time with Missy and they formed a bond and everything, and then Missy died, that this time they regenerated into a woman almost mirroring the Master, is quite nice, but that wasn't in any way stated or written, so that's me picking up a thread that isn't intended.
I don't know if it's not intended, because I think certainly with the companions have always had this thing, or at least in the last few years you've had this thing whereby the Doctor seems to sort of follow on from the previous companion in a certain way. Like you got the Scottish Doctor after the Scottish companion, you got the Mockney Cockney David Tennant Doctor after Billy Piper's been the previous one. That's a sort of I don't know if it's a said idea, but it seems to fit that the Doctor kind of chooses new life or new form based on something that's happened. But I'll also equally believe that they thought it's time for a female Doctor in the next series. Why don't we start with a female Master and see how that's accepted? Oh, they quite like that. Let's go with that then. I think they were laying the ground with it. I don't think this has just come out of the blue because of Missy. I think this is all planned well ahead. And they've been talking about a female Doctor since the 80s, to be honest. So it's about time. It literally is about time. Anyway, yeah, that's my disappointment and your glory. Adam, have you ever seen Doctor Who?
I have a long time ago.
Too much time travel, not enough Faye.
Yeah, I used to watch it back in the day with my dad, and then I caught a couple of the David Tennant episodes. But no, I'm not a huge one for Doctor Who. But I do appreciate it. My disappointment is water pressure.
Who's the family man here?
Yeah. That'll be me. So this actually, funny enough, this actually started November last year, so it's not actually technically this year, but it's gone into this year and it's still going on. So in the area there was a letter through everyone's door saying, oh, we're doing some work, so your water pressure's going to go down for a tiny bit. And so we was all like, okay, can't be helped, thank you for letting us know. Then they said, okay, the work's all done, your water pressure should go back up. Ours never went back up, so we thought, alright, it's a bit weird, let's just wait a little bit, let's ask around. Everyone else's had gone up, but ours hadn't. And I was like, well, that's not good. So we called the water board and they turned around and they said, no, nothing our end, all the work was fine, must be your end.
Yeah.
Well, no, this happened when you did the work. So, and then they said, yeah, but has everyone else's pressure gone up? And I said, yeah, well theirs definitely not. Alright. So then we get on to because we've got water cover. So then we got onto them, and they turned around and they said, "You need to get the water board down to double check their end first before we come in." Right? They've turned around and said it's not their problem. Yeah, but they need to come down and check so that you've got an actual report. Right? Okay. So then we call them back. You can see where this is going. So we called them back. And they turned around and said, no, nothing to do with us. Call your water cover. It's all you. Yeah, but they won't come down unless you give us a report. So could you please send someone down just to have a look in the hole in the ground outside and just say, yes, give us a report, and then we can go back to them and then they can get their asses in gear. Because all the time we're arguing about this by now is, I think, February, March. So all the time this is going on, we've had really low water pressure to the point where we can't now have a shower, so we have to have a bath.
Christ.
So, and I've got 2 kids. One's really young, even though he doesn't have showers yet. That's beside the point. Can you please send someone down? Well, we can't send someone down unless there's a problem, and we can't see that there's a problem, so we're not sending someone down. Right. Right. Call the water board back up. Can you please send someone down just to have a look? We'll even pay at this point. I really don't care. We're already paying you, but we'll pay you again. Just send someone down, for the love of God. Okay, we'll send someone down. This doesn't happen. This is now July. I'm skipping ahead quite a bit. All the way up to, I suppose, I think it was last month, they finally sent someone down. But where our so with when you have cover, water cover, they'll send someone down to service the boiler every year.
Yeah.
They decided to book the water pressure guy in with the boiler cover guy to make 2 appointments into one. You know, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I can appreciate that, but they are separate problems, and so they sent a gas engineer. He comes down and he says, "Right, I hear you got a problem with your boiler." No. My boiler's fine. In fact, you service it every year. It's due for a service next month. It's fine. Our problem is water pressure. I'm not a water guy. I'm a gas guy.
Fuck.
Yeah, we know. Is there anything you can do to check? For the love of God, just send us in the right direction.
Take a shower. I'll do it.
And and he went, Well, I do know a bit about water, and one of my mates in the company is a water engineer, so I can call him and we'll have a prod around. So for about half an hour he has a look around and he turns on the tap downstairs, which is connected to the main feed into the house. Sorry, I should say at this point we've got an old gravity fed system, which is perfectly fine. It's worked up until our problems.
Yeah.
And he turned around and he went, "Oh wow, yeah, that pressure sucks." Yeah, we know. You really don't need to tell us that.
Put it in the report.
So he went, "Alright, let's check upstairs, the one coming off the tank." And so he checks upstairs, and at this point so we've got them water flow taps, and the water flow is not so much of a water flow as a trickle. It's quite pathetic. And he went, "Oh wow, yeah, you probably wouldn't even be able to have a shower with that." You're really not letting us know anything new. So he went, "Let me call my mate." So he calls his mate and he turns around and he says, "Right, give them a report that they can then pass on to the water board, and what we'll say is it's not the house end, so it must be their end. That will get their arse into gear and actually send someone down. And if it comes back that outside is fine, then I will come down and we can finally figure out what the actual issue is. But we need their report first, because there's no point in me digging around and you spending loads of money if the problem's outside." I was like, that's fair enough. So he goes away. We call up the water board. The water board, as soon as I said, "Oh yeah, here's a report," wow, they were so quick. My God, I wish they would have done that first. Oh wait, yeah, I did ask them to do that first, but they fucking didn't. So this guy comes down and he goes, "Right, I can automatically tell you that you had a gas engineer come down." And I went, "I'm saying nothing because you're here." And he went, "Right, but it's not a water pressure issue, it's a water flow issue." And I went, "Please explain." And he said, "Right, I've checked your pressure outside into the house. You're actually receiving double what you should be receiving, and that's extremely good." And he said, "In fact, that's probably one of the best within your area." Right. So it's a water flow issue, meaning the flow of the water, the pressure basically isn't reaching your house, so the water flow is being disrupted. He said the quickest and easiest and cheapest is to replace your stopcock inside the house. 9 times out of 10 it's that problem, and if they did work out back in, well, last year now, that could have disrupted your watercock, so when the pressure went back on, if it's quite old, it could have caused it to seize. So we're hoping it's that. I said, "What's the expensive option?" Because I'm guessing there's an expensive option. And he went, "Yeah, the expensive option is that it's the pipe between the outside of your house and the inside of your house to where the stopcock is. If it's that, we got to dig up the floor." Right. So we've now got a guy coming on Christmas Eve.
Nice.
To change our stopcock, which I've got to take out one of the kitchen units that I put in just to get to it. So my disappointment for this year is water pressure.
I don't
Water
blame
flow,
you.
mate.
I think that's
Water flow.
incredibly fair.
Yes.
Jesus. So I take it you own. Are you buying your house? Do you own it?
Yes. Yeah.
'Cause it sounds very much like everyone saying, "Well, this is a you problem. We don't have to sort it."
Yeah. Basically.
Doesn't it?
Passing the buck. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, mate, that fucking sucks.
Yeah. So we've been having baths for every day, which is, as you can imagine, costing an absolute fucking fortune.
And incredibly inconvenient.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you can't have a bath in the amount of time you can have a shower. I guess you can just
Exactly.
kind of sit in it, splishy splash a bit, and then leap out, but they ain't gonna leave you feeling clean, is it?
The amount of times I've done that. Just because I haven't got the time. I'm like, come and get as much water in the bath as I can. Right, quick shower.
Oh,
With the
mate.
water that's in there. Yeah, it's pretty bad. But, yeah. Hopefully, fingers crossed, Christmas Eve will bring us a Christmas gift and it'll all be sorted.
Christmas miracle.
Yeah, please. Yes. So that's my disappointment.
But that's the negative stuff out of the way. What is your positive for the year? Adam, go!
Well, my positive actually starts with a negative,
Ah,
as often things do.
Is it battery?
No. So, do you remember when England made the final? Even if you're not into sport, it was all over the
oh,
news.
was that this year? Jesus, that seems ages ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's literally saying, do you remember when England went the final? I'm just like, I don't know even what sport we're talking about.
Football.
Is
Sorry,
it wrestling? I
Football.
don't think it's wrestling. All right, okay, football. No, I don't.
So-
Sorry.
Right. I was well up for it. I'd made alarms for it. I'd spoke to my mates about it. I was geared in. I was focused. I was watching this, and then my youngest decides to hit my TV with a DVD, and it
Oh.
pixelated right across the middle of the TV.
No.
On the day of the final. I was like,
So his positive of the year is his bills are a lot cheaper because he no longer has one of his children.
yeah.
That went down the orphanage. Bought a new telly.
Oh, I breathed very hard, left the room, and counted to 10. And then I came back in, and I thought to myself, it's just a TV. It's just England making the final, which they haven't done for ages. 1966. Okay, this is fine. This is fine. Then my wife calls me, and she goes, "You okay? Describe okay." And I said, so I explained what happened. She went, "No," because she's really into England football as well, as Jason's previously spoke about on one of the podcasts. So yeah, she's quite passionate about this as well. And she went, "What are we going to do?" I was like, "Only one thing we can do." She was like, "What's that?" "You have to buy a new TV." So
Yay!
we haul ours down to Richer Sounds, which is a fantastic shop, by the way, if you ever want something like a TV or something along that caliber. They do a fantastic job. Went down there and they had this TV bigger than my last TV, and for quite a decent price. And I was like, "Don't care. Yes, you got it. I'm having it." And he was like, "Oh wow, that was the easiest sale I ever had to do. England are on in a couple of hours. I need this TV." I could have gone down a pub, but it would have been the same. But yeah, so brought the TV, got it home, and sat down. And my God, the sound on this thing is fantastic. It's really good TV, and we managed to watch the England game and then watch them lose. Yeah. But the positive thing.
Starts with the negative,
positive
ends
thing-
with the negative.
The positive thing is we've ended up with this fantastic TV, which we wouldn't have normally had. And every night since then, we sit down in front of it just before bed, and we're like, "Do you know what? The sound on this thing is fantastic. The picture on this thing is fantastic." And yeah, we absolutely love it. So the positive
it's
thing
just
is
a
a
shame
new
about the
TV.
net you've got in front of it in case he decides to throw another DVD in its
Yeah.
collection.
All DVDs now are locked away in a cupboard far, far away.
Yes, it's not a good lesson to teach your child that if you go around damaging stuff, you get better stuff.
He's 2. He won't understand. It's fine.
Oh, this is when they take it in. They're like sponges.
My eldest noticed. That's a new TV, didn't he? Yeah. Anyway, Matt is on.
The eldest one's been pissing about with the water supply, I think, just to try and get some new stuff. He wants a jacuzzi.
Oh, God. Yes. So that's my positive.
Well, I've got 2 positives for the year. One is
Ooh.
very, very recent, and the other is absolutely beautiful. So, do you guys want to know what I picked up today?
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
I feel that'd make
Go
a
on,
better,
Each of you have a
entertaining
guess.
thing. Oh, we're guessing.
Yeah.
A poster on one of your Marvel characters.
For DC, but still a good guess. No. Jason?
Is it a full-size costume of Killer Moth?
No.
Wow.
No, it isn't. I got an Xbox Series X today.
Hey!
I keep looking. It keeps saying sold out where I look. Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough.
Do you know what? I've got like these people that message you as soon as they're in stock and stuff like that. And I don't know why, but because of my car and stuff, I've been feeling a bit shitty recently, and I've had the money saved up for an Xbox Series X for a while because there's like a Batman and a Suicide Squad game out next year, so I knew I'd need it sooner or later. And I just got this sense, like just the back of my head went, look on Argos, see if they've got one, and it just said, and I just went straight on there. It's like, yeah, we can send one to Bury for you. You can pick it up in a couple of days. Like,
Oh, fantastic.
get a fuck in that basket immediately. And bish bash bosh, I picked it up this afternoon. It's sat under my bed. I will hook that up probably Christmas Day.
Very nice.
So yes, as of our videos next year, the Xbox ones, mine will be recorded with an Xbox Series X, so that's pretty good. But that's
Nice.
not my positive of the year. That's just a very nice thing that recently happened. My negative of last year was the cancellation of my beloved show, The Venture Brothers,
Yes.
after 17 odd years. That hit me hard. It was really, really depressing. So when Adult Swim announced sometime in June or July, I believe it was, that they're giving the Venture Brothers a movie,
Alright.
which will presumably be the series finale, but to round everything up, I am greatly positive for it, because it could have ended where it ended, but there's a lot left to tie up. And if they've just got this one, it's going to be a TV movie, it's going to be this one movie, if that's what Venture Brothers goes out on, then I'm happy. They'll get to finish it the way they want to, and I'm very, very excited for it. There's also going to be another Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie, and I love the first Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie. It is one of the most batshit insane things I've ever seen, and it's a delight. So there's also that to look forward to. So yeah, it's proposed to be released next year. I get more Venture Brothers, and my disappointment from last year has turned into a positive from this year. So
Oh.
big thumbs up from me.
Nice.
Jason,
Oh, I'm getting a bit soppy now. As we mentioned earlier with the pancake reference, I went on holiday this year to Centre Parks with my family. It's the first time I spent a week with my family since the 90s. We didn't kill each other. We got on very well. We told stories. We played games. We had fun. We played crazy golf. We didn't eat pancakes properly. But we bonded and we grew together, and it made me really appreciate how close my family is in a nice way. I know it sounds a bit soppy, but just generally speaking, we have worked together in a company under a lot of stress. We have lived together under a lot of stress. We've been apart. We have stayed in contact. I think we have a very nice relationship. they're not too intrusive, and also not and always there when we need each other. So that holiday made me really appreciate what I've got, and that is the positive I'm taking from this year, and taking it into next year too. So there you go.
That's
that is
really nice.
my soppy,
Nice.
happy family positive. That's all you'll say on
Very,
that.
very well put. No,
Yeah,
that's
lovely.
lovely. And so we'll end on a positive. What are you looking forward to most next year? Jason, back in the hot seat there, mate.
I'm not. I don't like even numbers. Rubbish. I
My
am.
lucky number is 2, and there's a fuck ton of 2s next year, so fingers crossed it's my lucky year.
I'm looking forward to the 22nd of February next year. That's all the 2s. I am not, because that's even numbers. I am looking forward to potentially returning to the normality. There's air quotes going on there regarding going out, COVID masks and all that sort of stuff. But I don't actually think that will probably happen. I think we'll carry on with this for a few more years yet. Mostly, I'm looking forward to checking out all the games, books, TV shows, and music that you've brought my attention to during this episode, because I sure as hell didn't bring anything. Yeah, so thanks for all the suggestions. I'll check them all out.
Adam.
Nice. I'm looking forward to an extra job that I'm booked in for.
I thought you meant like an
67th of
additional
January.
job. I'm with you now.
Yeah, me
Right.
too.
Sorry, yeah, a film extra job, an essay job, supporting artist job, however
That's
you want to
better.
put it. I never like saying that because it just sounds too posh. So, for a long time, I've been doing these jobs, and they're always what it is. It's a background artist. You're firmly in the background. But this job, I get to work with the director and the camera crew, and it's just me. So I'm body doubling someone.
Right.
I'm yet to find out who.
The
And
Rock.
even if I did know, I wouldn't be able to tell you because it hasn't happened yet.
By body doubling, do you mean stunt work, or you get to be an arse?
No, I'm body doubling
He always
in
gets to be
as
an
in
arse.
the whole entire body and doing a load of actions within this movie. And
Wow.
basically, it's cheaper for them to pay me than it is to pay the person.
Don't say if it's true, but I reckon you're going to be Kenobi in the Kenobi show.
Oh, I hope. But no, but I do know they are putting me up in a hotel for the night. In fact, 2 nights.
Wow.
Which is the first for me. I'll be working with the director and the camera crew on my own, which is a
I
first
take it you
for
can't
me.
say who the director is or anything.
I can't
Is
say
it all
anything.
NDA'd? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's fair enough.
I can't
I love
say
it. He can't say the actor, but he can say the director, the film.
Yeah.
I can't say anything. But it's just all very. I mean, I got a phone call, the first of its kind I've ever received as well, from one of the crew, and he asked me a load of information so that they can accommodate my likes and dislikes. So they said,
wow.
"What's your what food do you like?" and stuff like that.
You've got Ryder. Nice.
Yeah, and it was just like great. And then they said the menu for the dinner at the hotel, and they said like, what would you like? And it was just like, oh, I can choose.
But
this.
you've got to
Oh.
choose now.
No.
Is
no,
it?
he
Are you
said-
sure
he
you're
said,
not in jury duty?
yeah. He
Chicken
said
or fish?
You don't.
What do you want?
You don't have to choose now, but it's just to let you know. It was all like, it was all overly done. These are your options for on the day type thing to make you as comfortable
Wow.
as possible. And as an extra, I can tell you that never happens. You turn up and you accept what you're given. That is it. You are thankful for being on set and watching this amazing stuff unfold and how it's made in front of your eyes. Never once are you ever given this stuff Yeah, I once got my personal runner once, way back in the day. But
Wow.
other than that, yeah, so I'm firmly looking forward to that job, which is 6th and 7th of January. So,
That sounds
I'll be-
awesome.
yeah.
I'm also
That
looking
is
forward
what I'm
to
doing.
picking up on the clues that you gradually drop, so we can try and work out what this thing is you're doing.
Yeah, and then we can put it on the podcast and get him fired.
Yeah.
Well, if it takes as long as what it normally does for these films, then next year's end of year review, I'll be able to tell you what it is.
Hey! I'm looking forward to a certain day, the 4th of March 2022, when I hope to, at the hour of midnight, be sat at the IMAX in Ipswich watching the new Batman movie. Because yes, there's a new Batman movie and it looks fucking incredible, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it. Like, I was excited for Spidey, I was excited for Ghostbusters, I was excited for Dune, all of these things, but Batman is my fucking jam, and oh, it looks so good. I have watched one of the trailers almost every day for over a year since it was first announced. I am so fucking hyped. I found there was like a little Riddler website today, which I sat and played with. I'm so hyped for this movie. I don't even think Riddler's going to be the main villain. I think that's all a massive misdirect. I can't wait to see this thing. I can't wait to see the new Batman. I can't wait to see the new Catwoman. I cannot wait to see the Riddler finally done justice. Please, for the love of God. Good Riddler would be amazing. I can't wait for this movie. It's going to be fucking awesome. Or I'm going to be very sad. But we'll probably love it anyway.
Cool.
The Batman.
On that subject, actually, because you said Catwoman, I might have your best book of year end review year thing for next year, if you're interested. Catwoman, written by Sarah J. Maas. She wrote a one-off on Catwoman. So if as you're a massive fan of this stuff, you may find that interesting.
One-off what? Well, like a short story? Is it?
No,
like
it's a full-on novel
based on Catwoman.
Based on Catwoman. Catwoman Soul Stealer by Sarah J. Maas.
Yeah, no, I've read that.
Ah,
It's
there you
good.
go. you already know about it.
I was going to say, narrow it down a little bit. Thought I'd missed something. Yeah, I don't read. I think that was in their young adult line. I don't read all of that stuff, but if I've got a bit of time to just I'm kind of doing something else, I want listening to some music. I don't fancy playing it. I'll read one of these. I seem to recall it being very pleasant.
Oh, there you go.
It being quite nice.
I haven't actually read it myself, so it's one of hers I haven't read yet. So I'll probably be reading that next year.
Yeah, do it.
Lots of positives for next year. It's good.
Bring it on.
Absolutely. And so, if there's nothing else anyone else has to add, I'll take that silence as a no. I have been Sean. I have been with Adam.
Yo!
I've been with Jason.
I've been Jason.
He's been Jason. And that was 2021, the Iron Dinos Year in Review. And also some golf. Bye!
Bye!